So hello, welcome to the Eddie Conversation Podcast, episode number 33. My name is Eddie Vigil, and I am your host. Today I am joined by Brooke Darwin.
Oh.
Yes, thanks for being, or I'm at your place.
You're here. Thank you for being here.
I am happy to be here. So thanks for being on.
My pleasure.
I will start with, I haven't tried this yet.
Oh, you didn't? You saved it for the
saved it for the camera. I wanted to do a little. All right. See, if you wouldn't mind. Okay. So pretty much, if you're watching the video, this is also available in audio form as well, both form. Either way, regardless, subscribe. Okay, that's out of the way. Your place is beautiful.
Thank you.
And you mentioned during. When we were getting ready and stuff, you talked about getting some yuppie stuff during during lockdown and whatnot. So you're making me a thing if you want to.
Well, typically you wouldn't need the yuppie stuff to make this. I did throw it in. This is just a oat milk matcha latte, but I because he doesn't drink coffee.
Yeah.
Absurd.
No coffee.
But is it okay? Oh. You didn't even.
I tasted it and I was like, it's
decent.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, yeah, if it was bad,
I'd be like,
well, we'll see if he keeps drinking.
No, I'll finish it. It's great. All right, yeah.
That's how I know if I've cooked a good meal. If Chase goes back for seconds, I'm offended if he does.
Oh, you just and he knows this, yeah. So I would feel like he would just go for seconds.
Just fill yourself up, burst, make your wife feel good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I did, but I made that in the.
Like
what did I get? The Blend Tech. The Blend Tech was the blender.
Yeah.
It was quite an expensive blender, but we decided in the pandemic. Can I cuss?
Sure.
Chase was like, life's too short to have shitty appliances. Okay. And it's so true. It's like, I mean, we live in this.
Shitty was your cuss word?
Shitty was my cuss word.
Okay, all right, great.
I don't typically. I'm not so vulgar.
All right, now is you quoting another person.
Yeah. So I threw that in the Blend Tech, though, because I didn't have a whisk. Typically, you would whisk the matcha.
Okay.
Anyway.
I like that motto, I guess.
Listen, this is why, I mean, we have shitty cars, and we live in a one-bedroom apartment that's rent-controlled, and we've been here for a decade because it's rent-controlled. But we have a very nice vacuum and a very nice blender. I also got my KitchenAid during the pandemic. Like, we just got I think a lot of people did that during the pandemic.
Got the KitchenAid?
The KitchenAid for sure. No, just made themselves comfortable in there.
Okay, because now you actually have to, well, it was different because you're
here.
Stuck.
Yeah.
So tell me about the cars. Why should he? Isn't a car an appliance?
A car?
Yeah.
I guess
why?
so. Well, the cars, I don't know. Neither of us are into cars.
Until you have to live in the car for a year.
I just think it's so funny when you see people in LA. Like, we have people that live in this complex that. There was one guy, he was the asshole. He's like, literally, he was awful. No social skills. But he drove an Escalade. And then he lived in this, like, apartment in the back. And it's like, I see people in LA doing that all the time. They live in, like, I'm going to offend so many people because I think this is a way of life. They have really, really nice cars. And then they live in these, like, dumps. And I would just rather put my money toward...
Making the dump not a dump.
Yeah, exactly. Making the dump a little less dumpy. Also, like, car insurance is both of our cars are paid off, and car insurance is so much cheaper for, like, an old car. Mm-hmm. You get a new car, you have a car payment, and then you have car insurance. You're paying, like, $800 a month just for the stupid car.
Right.
Put that toward a house or the stock market.
Yeah.
It's a much better use of your... Warren Buffett drives, like, a very modest car.
I'm a fan of that thought process.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, of course you understand the whole where they're coming from on the nice car, right? Like, you get the mentality. No?
No.
Okay.
Because you're being seen in the car?
Yeah, because let's say you're an actor.
Yeah.
When you go to set
yeah.
and the producers see you driving your car.
Yeah.
they're not going to see where you live. They're more likely to see what you're driving.
Right.
So if you need that point of reference for how well you're doing.
Yeah. I think my personality makes up for the car.
No.
I'm not
saying
you get out of the car and then I'll park down the street too. If it's like a fancy situation, I'll avoid pulling up in the car. I'm actually driving my mom's car that was keyed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me. Ooh, I just hit that's probably going to be a big boom.
It's fine.
It wasn't me. She made an enemy at work.
Oh, it's okay.
It wasn't really her fault either. This guy was just like a psycho, and she came out one day and her car was keyed.
Like one line through the door? Or?
Big line on the passenger side.
But not like
Z's
across.
No, not a bunch of them, but like one line, like from the front of the car to the back of the car.
The classic walk-by swipe.
Classic key swipe, yeah. So that's the car I drive now. I don't really care that much.
I don't either.
It takes a lot to embarrass me now.
Yeah, okay. I'll say as well. I don't know. We're on the same page about it, so it's not.
You feel that way about the cars?
Yeah, I just barely bought my first car.
Oh.
Like a couple weeks ago. Otherwise, it's been like, yeah, sure. But I bought an old used one, an older 2012 or something.
Okay.
And very cheap. But either way, I avoided it for a long time because I don't care about.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I had a thought there, but.
Did you see the episode of Curb where
Nope.
Jeff? Do you watch Curb?
I've only seen like 1 or 2 episodes.
You gotta watch it. That's
HBO,
it's so
right?
good. Yeah. Jeff gets offended that Larry did. He's like, that's a sit down with him. He's like, I'm offended that you didn't say congratulations on my car. Like he gets this new, I think it's like a vintage car actually, and he's like, he didn't say congratulations on my car. It's like a problem between them. It's pretty funny.
It's great. What I was going to say, I remembered my thought, is in the industry that we work and live in, I do feel like it is more on, ideally, how you perform in the job that you have versus what you're driving that makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
That you showed up and you were awesome and you're great to work with,
Yeah.
and who cares what you came to work in.
Yeah.
But we're in Los Angeles, so of course it's different.
It's a thing. Yeah.
For certain people. All right, so let's jump into talking a little bit about you. We'll go through some stuff. So you are do you have yourself described on your social medias as you have a couple of things. You have some nice fun asides, but primarily you describe yourself as a comedian, actor.
Yeah, I would probably say like actor writer now.
Actor writer now. Versus,
I feel like if you're a comedian and a writer are the same thing to me. Well, I feel like I honed my writing skills when I started doing stand-up.
Well, comedian requires writing,
right.
But writing doesn't you require to go out and perform.
That's true. I guess comedian's better then, yeah, let's say.
Well,
I did also, but I write. I write films. We have actually, I don't think you know. It's all very like.
Yeah, tell me.
We have meetings about to be set up for a teaser. Well, we wrote a pilot and we filmed a teaser right before the pandemic.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about
I'll have to send it to you. It's very good.
Okay, great.
And we have a producer on board, and so he is setting up the meetings to pitch it to the networks.
It's very
exciting.
Try and sell
it, yeah. So I write.
So you write.
Yeah.
And you've been writing so why, it feels like it's a recent shift. Is it a recent shift?
I guess like probably in the last couple of years I realized like, I have that same fulfillment as like, I initially came out to LA. My whole life I was like, I'm going to be an actor. That's what I do. And then I think the more I started reading and the more I just kind of did different parts of the filmmaker because we will film our own shorts.
Yeah.
And you have to wear all of the different hats, as you know.
I'm a big fan of that.
Of that process.
Yeah.
And so I just realized, like, I also have that same fulfillment when I write something. Like, I just want to put something original out there that somebody else hasn't done, which is nearly impossible.
So it's a little, well, I mean,
but in my own, spin.
Yeah. So having that, is it a control thing, or is it, that's like control, right?
This is like therapy.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it might be.
No, there's nothing wrong with control. It's just, let's say as an actor, you don't necessarily get to dictate the story being told.
Yeah.
You just audition for the role and
You're
get the
vessel.
role, and you help tell the story. But as a writer, you're at the forefront before it even gets to you as the actor. I don't know if you acted in the teaser or if you're a part of that in the process.
Yeah.
Okay.
We wrote it for ourselves, and I mean, at this point, now that it's like real, it's so funny because I have all these like plates spinning, and it's the one thing that's like actually like things are happening with it, but I think she's gonna go under the couch. Do you want to go under there? It's like her little
Yeah, we
cave.
didn't introduce, I don't know, if you're watching the video, you probably saw little doggy over there. Either way, Scout is join,
our little three-legged dog.
Those are my shoesies.
Hobble along. Do you want to go under the couch, Scout? Anyway, she'll figure it out. But yeah, what were we saying?
Well, I want to hear. I want to hear about the process. Because you said now that it's getting real.
Oh yeah.
I think that was kind of like a blessing.
Yeah, it's to me I think I've gotten so used to things falling through. I think I've been out in LA for 14 years.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Congratulations.
Oh gosh, don't congratulate me on that.
Oh, sorry.
I once had an agent look at my resume and say, "Oh, he was a petty man, clearly like a sad guy," but said, "You've been out here for how long? Your resume should be much longer than this." And I went home and I cried, and thank God I had Chase at the time. We lived here. This was within the last 10 years, and when we watched an Eddie Murphy comedy special, like an old one. It was before I was doing comedy, and I remember it's like it fixed everything. And I can't imagine not having a support system, like not having a person to, especially as an actor, when you have those like horrible soul crushing moments, and then you come home to like not a Chase. You just have to like sit with it. I don't know how they do it. I've had him like since acting conservatory, so
congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you so much. But yeah, okay. So the writing process,
Sure.
What?
No, I was.
What the question was now?
Yeah, that was the original question. Was the process on getting this pilot going? One that's very, because I'm sure, I don't know. That's a thing. There's multiple things we could talk about for sure. I'm very curious about your thoughts on 14 years in LA.
Yeah.
That, like, just maybe some tidbits in there. But since we're on the pilot thing, because I wrote my first pilot last year during quarantine. I've got a co-writer that I write with. And we wrote, I don't even know what to do with it, but we wrote a sample of some kind.
Okay.
But either way, so you had, what was the goal? How did this start?
Okay, I should say that I co-wrote it also. There's three of us that wrote it together. Did I say I just wrote a pilot?
We just talked about you being.
That sounds terrible.
We talked about you being a writer. So I think you said you wrote it.
I wrote it. Well, I did write it, but I had help. Okay, so it started. So I have a couple of really close gal pals, and I don't think we set out to write. I think we were just trying to have a girls' night, and we started talking about our side jobs that we've done and these women are mega talented. One of them is the Kia girl. My friend Jenny is like the Kia. She's in the Kia commercials right now. She's been doing really well. So. And she was in Bullitt County, which is, for a while you could watch it on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on there, but she has had some success. The other one, Allie and I are both very trained actors. I think Allie actually has like an MFA maybe. Mind-blowingly talented, hilarious, and we both just haven't had like that luck, and which is something that I feel like Oh gosh, I wish that, like, if any young actors are watching, because I had this idea of like, oh, at 27, I will be, a series regular. I will have won an Oscar. I will, like, all these crazy things. And it just doesn't happen that way. And it's not, it has nothing to do with how talented you are or how hard you work. It has everything to do with, like, getting that shot and being in the right place at that one thing falling into place that, like, that domino effect that works out.
And that's that.
So now we are in our 30s and we're still...
Congratulations.
Thank you. Still alive. And we're still going for our dreams. And there is something... So we were just talking about, like, the side jobs that we did. Like, I was a children's party fairy for a long time. My friend Allie does SP patient. Well, it's a standardized patient. There was an episode of Seinfeld where Kramer does this, but they're basically the patients, the practice patients for doctors.
Yes, I've seen that episode.
In medical school, yeah. So she does it, and and they take it very seriously. Like, it's
just like Kramer.
Exactly. But it is like it's an acting job, and Jenny and I were like, what? Jenny and I actually met as fairies, so Jenny did the fairy thing too.
Okay.
So Allie was blown away by the fairy world. We were blown away by the SP world, and we were like, there is so much richness here. Jenny and I also ran wedding businesses, and I mean, I've had every job you can imagine.
That's great.
And so it was called Side Hustle, but now we have to probably change the title because during the pandemic, some Nickelodeon show came out with Side, which I would be happy to work on that show also. But yeah, they stole our title, so we'll have to probably, I guess we don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's
down the road.
Yeah.
So
some airplane action.
We're right over the Bob Hope fly path.
We're
over them. Just kidding. You're right. We're under them. So so we wrote it.
So this was a girls' night hangout.
And we were like, this is just too rich. There's so much here. We have to write this show. And then we did. And we decided to film a teaser.
So you're skipping ahead past the juicy stuff.
What's the juicy stuff?
Well, I'm a big fan of the development process.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It's probably the boring stuff or something. I don't know. Either way, I like the
how we wrote it.
You gloss over we wrote it and then we decided.
I know I remember reading Tina Fey's book and I was like, and then you were just on SNL. you cut out all the part where you talk about how you got there.
So you had three people that were going to write this thing.
Yes.
You're all writers previously, or
I mean,
you've all written stuff individually, and this would be your first time
right.
working together as a trio.
Yes.
And how did y'all
decide to write together?
More like go through that process. Like,
how did we write it?
Yeah, did you meet up and do the breakdowns?
I think I would be just in heaven if I was like on a staff writer. I like to be in the writer's room. That's how Chase and I write. We'll sit across the table from each other. One of us will type and we'll write together and we'll switch off. And so it's just, I just feel like, and I know you're not supposed to really do this, but it's kind of like you're editing as you go.
Okay.
Which not so much. Like,
what are you not supposed to do?
You're not supposed to edit as you write it. You're
Who
supposed
says
to
that?
Like every writing book, every book. Yes.
You can do whatever gets you to the end product.
Well, I think Stephen King says you don't have anything to edit if you haven't written. I think it's just the idea of like, don't be precious as you're going.
Yeah.
Just write it. Don't worry about if it's perfect and then go back.
I guess I would preface. I mean, because I'm a big fan of, we talked about podcasts briefly before. One podcast that I listen to consistently for it's been up for 10 years is the Script Notes podcast.
Yeah, I like that one.
So they have different writers on all the time talking about process, and one of the things that I've gathered is like everybody's got their own way of going through it. some big time writers edit as they go. Every single time they sit down, they edit everything up to where they are, continue. Next day, edit everything up to where they are, continue.
Oh, so they're editing several times.
So, like, it doesn't, I don't...
Yeah.
It got, you came out with the pilot.
Sometimes I think it can stop people so that they
100%.
don't continue, and they're just like, I can't get page 1 perfect, so I just can't move on past page 1. And done is better than perfect, right? So, and then you will always have the time to, like, edit after.
Yeah.
I go back to, like, old stand-up jokes and old pieces that I've written, and then I just feel like, oh, I know how to fix this. You know, if I can just, like, word vomit it out and then step away from it and be like...
I'm a fan of that process.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just more picking at the part that you're not supposed to, I'm like, well,
I'm not supposed to. I keep on hitting this loud. So with the girls, Jenny had written with a friend where she was really the main writer, and they kind of created a story together, so she had done a screenplay like that. I don't know how Allie wrote with previous writing partners. This is a busy day for planes.
No, it's fine. It's not picking it up too much.
Is it not?
It's happened before, and it hasn't been an issue.
Okay.
So we're good.
But so what we ended up doing was we all downloaded this thing called Writer's Duet. And
I'm a fan.
And we could just edit on the same document. So you could see who did what edits too, I think.
Maybe.
And you could make a new draft of that. You can, like, duplicate drafts and things. I think. It's been a while.
Yeah. Writer Duet is great.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Sponsor. Well, we paid for, like, a... Yeah, there is a free version.
Yeah.
We paid for the
premium or I don't know, whatever.
And so I think the way that ours ended up working was we would just write drafts and send them back and forth. But I just feel like those nights that we all came together and were just, like, typing in Jenny's living room at 11 o'clock at night, that's when we got, like, the most done. Because we can be in the room and be like, no, I don't think that works because of this. What if he says this? Yeah. Or, like, let's set... Oh, that was a good pop. And you can just kind of... You are essentially editing as you're going because you're all... It's like the edit where you all agree on...
Well, the writing was already done, and then you met up to kind of review it, right? And then you can... And then we can fine-tune. Edit it as a group.
So then halfway through, like, we had a draft of the pilot.
What's the timeline?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. I'll have to put that together.
Weeks,
It was
months,
probably
years?
We actually did this really quickly. So I feel like when I met you, it was like November of 2019, right? Halloween had just passed.
That sounds right.
I think we started somewhere in that timeline. I don't think that we were writing it at that point, but from the time of, like, concept to filming the teaser. We filmed the teaser February of 2020, February 1st and 2nd of 2020. And then the pandemic happened. Like, it was edited and everything by March, and we were about to, like, go out and start pitching it, and then the pandemic happened. Sure. Jenny had a baby. Everybody just kind of, like, became very reclusive and focused on their lives. Yeah. And then I'm jumping ahead, though.
No, it's fine.
And then it was, like, just recently
and then you're
we
on
had
SNL,
a producer. And then I'm on SNL now. Haven't you heard? Yeah. So we decided probably, like, I'm sure we wrote the pilot in, like, a month. Probably not even that long.
That's pretty good.
Because Allie's very quick. I feel like she came up with a draft first. She was like, hey, girls, I just was thinking about this tonight. And, like, the next morning, she had a draft. I mean, she's insane.
Yeah. Once it grabs you, sometimes you just, like...
Oh, but she does it all the time. Like, she writes so fast all the time. I don't know how she does it.
And it's good.
It's good.
It's good writing.
It's good. Oh, it really is. She's really good. And so then we decided, well, like, what we wanted to do with it, which was ultimately to, like, pitch it. And so we said that we should have a teaser. So we wrote a new script, which was kind of like a condensed version of the pilot, like a 10-minute teaser. I don't even think it's 10 minutes. I think it was like Maybe it's 10 minutes. Yeah, something. Who cares?
Sure.
I think we were just trying to get it down to 10 pages. That's what I remember. And we filmed that. We called in a bunch of favors. Through the years of working with people, I have very talented DPs and sound guys, and they all gave us really, really generous rates. But we did pay everybody.
Sure, that's great.
And kind of took care of craft services ourselves.
Yeah.
My husband was the AD. Jenny directed it, so her part was very small in the teaser. And her husband was there on set helping. And we just had like a bunch of friends. We ended up spending about $3,000 total, maybe a little more. And then we split that between the three of us. So in the end, it was like, well, if nothing else happens with this, I have really good footage for my reel that I spent like $1,000 for.
Sure.
That's such a good investment as an actor.
Yeah, no, it's great. And how many, I don't know, this is nitty gritty, lame production stuff, but how many days was it like a weekend shoot?
Yeah, it was a weekend shoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
We had, Justin Willman is the host of Magic for Humans. What?
Sorry, no, I was thinking about the 10 pages in 2 days.
It was ambitious.
It's a doable amount.
Yeah.
It's not crazy.
Justin Willman is the host of Magic for Humans. Jenny's husband produced that show, so that's how they know each other. Jenny's husband is like a world-renowned magician, and so is Allie's husband. That's how they met.
They're both magicians.
Yeah, and I told Chase he needs to become a magician so I can be a magic wife, because it's just like, it's like this whole culture.
Yeah.
We went to the Magic Castle, and they have like special credit cards when they buy drinks. And I was happy to be a guest, but I would like to be a magic wife.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day in our next iteration of, is that a word?
Iteration?
Yeah,
it's a word.
Of what I
think it's a proper usage of the word,
I
too.
think so.
It's all good. How did you decide on going with the teaser route on the pitch process? Like, who... Because I know I've been a part of conversations in terms of trying to get some stuff off the ground and what can we develop? Do we need a story Bible for the whole series? Do we need a pilot script? Do we what do we pair this thing with?
So what we decided that it would just be, I don't know, it's funny because it is a show about actors. It's very can be a little inside baseball, and it is, a lot of networks don't want to buy any coastal elite kind of, nobody wants to watch. I was the
Coastal elite.
Coastal elites are like shows about LA and New York. Have you not heard that term?
Like Marriage Story.
Is that? Oh, yeah.
It's
and that was very arty.
Straight up LA and New York.
Yeah, I think Fox doesn't do a lot of. They do a lot of the middle, because that's their main viewership is Middle America. So I think some of the best shows have gone off the air so soon, like Perfect Couples. Did you see that? They're just very, very smart shows. Don't last very long because most of the viewers, and I'm not insulting intelligence, but most of the viewers are Middle America and working class and want, they work so hard and they want to just unwind at the end of the day with a nice easy comedy, like The Middle. They don't want something very cerebral or something that's
that makes them
witty
work.
Jokes, but not going to make them laugh out loud.
Yeah.
So I think some of the smartest shows, it's hard for them to succeed because, or that was the case 10 years ago.
Sure.
Now we have HBO's doing really great shows. I mean, they've always done really great shows.
Yeah.
I feel like they lead the way with, changing television, but.
Okay, so I don't know if I missed your answer. So the teaser.
We decided, okay, so this is my answer.
Sure, I'm just,
So I think that, on paper, I think it sounds intriguing, but when you actually see the cast that we put together and Jenny's vision of how everything looks and the pacing, it's really good. And
Yeah.
not to,
No, sure. I
I'm
hope
very proud of what we made, and I feel like you watch it and you're like, oh, I do believe in this, and
Yeah.
there's something magic here. Like there with Friends, I think there was something magic about the cast that they put together. The writing is amazing. I'm a huge Friends fan. I watch it over and over. What the hell?
Sorry, I was more on the Seinfeld train. Like
Seinfeld's
my
also
family
great.
never watched Friends, so I didn't
Yeah.
grow up with it.
Yeah.
And then now it's too late.
Both of those. Seinfeld too. I don't think Seinfeld is hugely in the writing, but also Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Jason Alexander and Richards,
Jerry Seinfeld.
something Richards,
I don't know.
Michael Richards. I think they're all just those characters. It just came together like magic. So I feel like when you see our cast, it's like, oh, I do want to see these people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Right.
So anyway, that's why we did the teaser.
You wanted,
We wanted to give them a taste of like, this is what the show is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then along with that, we created a, not a Bible,
like some sort of treatment? No. There's so many things to develop.
I'm going to look it up right now. Ooh, because Jenny actually ended up doing it, and it was
it's not like one of those
like a one sheet, but it wasn't a one sheet. It was a few pages.
Is it like a I know like in post-production there's a thing called the EPK.
The deck.
The deck.
We did
Okay,
a deck.
like a pitch deck.
A pitch deck, yeah.
Okay. It's pretty much like a PowerPoint presentation.
And it's pretty, I mean, she did a pretty good
great.
job.
It looks great.
So we have like the four girls,
Yeah, it's
and
beautiful.
yeah, she did an amazing job.
Yeah. Cotton candy colors there.
Yeah, and she did have like a color palette that was very.
I have a very hard time with that kind of stuff.
Really?
Like developing a visual representation of the idea.
Yeah.
That's not the actual product.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that stuff.
Yeah.
I hate it.
It's a lot of work. I'm like so grateful that she did it and I didn't. And also, like, I can't believe that we didn't have to hire somebody to do that, because I think she did it in Keynote. She had hired somebody to do a pitch deck before, and then she was like, you know what? I realized like it's very
doable.
It's very doable, yeah. But she's also very talented. She has like an aesthetic eye. Mm-hmm. She does good style.
Yeah, no,
she does
great.
good style. So we sent it to. And I brought up Justin was in our teaser. Justin, who is on Magic for Humans.
Okay. Nice.
And Jenny's husband and Justin had worked together on that show. And there's also another producer. So he is the one that's kind of taken us under his wing and has been interested in the show. And
that's very cool.
Hopefully
we'll
have some meetings coming up soon.
Fingers crossed. That's very exciting.
Yeah. So that's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, that's great. That's very cool. Yeah, no, I know. I don't know what to say. I was thinking more along the lines of. That's okay. So I had a couple thoughts. The big dream, of course, is the meetings come. Mm-hmm. And the show sells or gets greenlit or whatever with the writers and the actors
all on board. Yeah.
So
if that doesn't happen, we've talked about it.
Okay, yeah.
I am more concerned with staying on as a writer. So if they were like, we want to recast your role.
And you're like, well, keep us as the writing team.
Yes, I think we have to
this
stay on as
whatever?
The writing team, because it's all our experiences. Like, that's what we're writing. That's the heart of the show, is about all of these shitty jobs and experiences that we put up with trying to.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, I could already imagine, I don't know. I think about, I had a buddy that they spent a lot of time writing. I think they wrote a show, mm-hmm. and they shot a teaser for it or something, and then they got interest on it, and they got an offer
Okay.
to just buy out the idea, and because their goal was, we want to bring our production team on,
Yeah.
and we want our cast, and we want to write it. So the full package, like level us all up together. And they're like, we just want the idea.
What did they end up doing?
They said no.
They said no.
Yeah.
And then
because it was like it was like an all or nothing on their perspective. With, I don't know if they had the middle ground of like, well, we want to stay on as writers, or at least let me direct an episode. Like, I don't know what the So they said no to it.
I mean, I guess that we've not talked about that. If they just wanted to buy the idea, I feel like the idea itself is not. It's not the same without the personal experiences, because it's not like this crazy idea. It's something that we've all
which is great.
That's why it's hard to pitch, I think, because it's like, this is not a show that you've heard of before or seen before. It's, to me, the idea sounds kind of.
Yeah, the magic is in the
magic's
cast
in the writing. Yeah, exactly. So
so it's worthless.
I wouldn't imagine that somebody would what's a really unique show like Kimmy Schmidt. I think the premise of that show, like these ultra religious women that lived in a bunker, and then they come up to see what the world is, and so she's like an extraordinary person in an ordinary world. That's a great idea. That's like, if I was a network executive, I'd be like, oh yeah, I can put some writers on this idea. But our concept of the show isn't as like ingenious, I think. So I wouldn't think that
I see what
that
you
would be
mean.
an offer. But I think we're all open to. They were like $100,000 for this idea. We'd be like, great. We can put that into something else.
Yeah,
then.
exactly. And that was my gut thought too.
Yeah.
It was like, you have other ideas, and you could use that to produce 4 other projects or.
My notes are full of show ideas. Full of them.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, yeah.
I have a very hard time with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Coming up with the idea?
Like, normally I get locked into one.
That's great. I wish that would be me.
And then I have to see it through.
That's amazing. That's why you did so much this year, though.
Maybe.
That's why
I think so.
You have follow through. I have the problem of like having too many things that I want to do and not. I was just talking to Chase about this. I was like, do you think that Stephen King is, when he's writing a book, he's like, he finishes writing, or is there like an idea that he's like, oh, what about that book? And because I think he does write one at a time, and it's like, how do you stop yourself? Because a lot of times I'll write something and be like, oh wait, this idea might be better. I'm gonna abandon this and spend my time on this idea because I think this is a better idea, instead of being like, put a pin in it, finish out the thing I'm working on, and then move on to the next thing. I can't.
Yeah.
I gotta have some
Well, because I don't know, I think I heard something from somebody, I think it might have been Elaine Brosh McKenna. I don't know if you're familiar with this writer. She wrote Devil Wears Prada and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. She helped create that show.
Did she write the book Devil Wears Prada, or
she wrote the movie. The screenplay. And some other cool stuff. Either way, she's on script notes all the time, and I think at one point they're talking about ideas and notes and how often you, like, if you have an idea, do you put it down in your notes? Do you like jot it down somewhere? Or, and I think her technique was like, she just lets it go.
What?
If an idea comes, like, she's already working on something.
Yeah.
So she doesn't really need the ideas. So if it sticks around and it comes back again later,
she knows.
Then it's like, all right, we got something here. If it keeps bugging me, it'll stick and stay. Versus just jotting down any idea that comes to mind. So I tried to kind of keep that in the back of my mind with like, well, if it matters, it'll come around. Sometimes
I go through my notes though, and I'm like, this idea is amazing, and it was something I completely forgot about. Or Chase is my husband. I keep referring to him, but I'm
just
sure
to clarify.
it's like, he will have these amazing ideas, and he won't write them down. And also we've had back and forths of like whose idea was whose. So anytime I write down his idea now, I say Chase's idea, so that we
just for.
We had this
the history books.
Yeah, we had this thing with like a stand-up joke because he'll help me like fine-tune my stand-up jokes. And we have an incredible relationship. We don't, of course we have like fights, but they're not like, we never yell at each other. We never cuss or call names. It's very like, hey, I don't like how you talk to me right there. It's very like, almost as if we've been through therapy, but we've just always from the beginning been very sweet to each other, and we have a lot of respect for each other, so we deal with things as they come.
It's very wonderful.
It's the best thing that I've done. Honestly, I kind of feel like I might not have success anywhere else because I have a really, really wonderful marriage.
I mean, that's a big part of life. So
I think I've realized in the last year, I'm like, you know what?
Life's already a win at that point.
Yeah, that's it. I've done it. So if I get to do something professionally, like that's amazing. But I feel like there's so many people that are so successful and then they don't have that person that they can trust, or like a family that they like to spend time with. And then it's just like, well, what's it all for then?
It's for their
other people.
It's for their Twitter followers.
Yeah. But anyway, we wrote this is like one of our fights.
Okay, you wrote it down.
Well, it was a joke. It's not even funny. And it was like originally because I was a vegan for a year in 2013. I feel very much like if you write a joke that is preachy, that's actually like a strong opinion for you or a strong belief, it's not funny. You kind of have to like take the counterpoint or make it about something much less important than the actual thing.
Right, I see
Does
what you
that make
mean.
sense?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it comes off as very preachy, and it's just not. What is this? A TED Talk? So so this is why I never used this joke. But when I was a vegan, I would get so much aggression from people just for the fact that I was a vegan. Like, and I think that happens like when.
In what context?
Just like
on set or just
no,
life
like with my family and people that weren't vegans. I think that when people see you doing something that they have some kind of guilt about, they become aggressive or judgmental about. It's like when somebody's drinking, they want everybody else to drink along with them so they don't feel guilty for drinking. Or like a dessert, like have a dessert with me. It's like, no, you have the dessert. I'm not going to have one. But they get mad about because they feel guilty about. So anyway, the joke was like, getting mad at somebody for being a vegan is like yelling at somebody from your car, like a jogger who's taking a run, like, hey, get a car, like
right.
It's not funny because it's like a real opinion. It's so ridiculous to get offended, to see somebody not eating meat and be offended by that. It's as ridiculous as like to be driving in your car and get offended that somebody's exercising and feel like fat from that, or feel like unhealthy or out of shape. You know what I mean? Does this make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
So anyway, that was like our fight. We were like driving somewhere and it came up and we couldn't remember, like, it was something in the writing of it, like who came up with I think he was saying he came up with the punchline, or because I was like, but it was my idea. It was based on when I was a vegan, so I know that it was my idea. And we just like, it was so stupid. I ended up in tears over this, and it was like, I said, I don't care what the world thinks, I care what you think. It was so important to me that he recognized that, like, I wrote this joke because his opinion matters to me more than anybody. I think he's so talented. He's a better writer than I am.
Okay.
So give me my credit when.
Did you get the credit?
No, we had to let it go because we came to like an impasse, and we were like, this is not
Agree
worth
to disagree,
it. Yeah,
and move on.
I think it ended up as like, it was my original joke, and he added the punchline or something. I don't even know what the punchline was, or what. I mean, and I never used the joke. It wasn't funny.
Yeah,
it's so silly. I don't know why I told you that story.
I don't know. I'm forgetting as well. I think you're talking about writing. I don't know. It reminds me of, I just spent a month in New Mexico.
Okay.
Very small town.
Is this where you're from?
I was born in New Mexico.
But the town that is this the town that you're wearing?
Yeah, Chama, New Mexico.
Because I think I heard you talking about this on your podcast, this town.
Yes. You listened to the podcast with my great grandmother. Yeah. So I grew up there. Regardless, I just shot a movie there.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing was trying to figure out the catering situation. So you're talking about the vegan thing. We didn't have any vegans on our crew, but everybody was from Los Angeles, so we're a little bit used to
dietary restrictions, and I don't know, vegetables at the least. Yeah. You know, having some sort of non-meat option. Right. Non-gluten. None.
So I think we had a keto person and a vegetarian.
It's such a headache to deal with. I have no dietary restrictions anymore.
But because vegan is, I would say, a level above vegetarian.
Oh, yeah.
So
the
resistance that I had talking to people about the vegetarian, we had one vegetarian on the crew, and it was kind of like the strong opinion toward vegetarians. I'm like, what do they even eat?
Yeah.
Just the classic thing there. And it was a weird experience because I think I was talking to them about burritos and tacos and getting some variation on our catering. And I was having the conversation about well, there's a lot of beef. You have a lot of beef here. Yeah. Can we sub for chicken some days? And well, we don't do chicken. It was just straight up beef diet.
Oh my gosh! In that town. Do they have a lot of cattle farms?
I don't know.
Or it's just the way of life. Beef.
It's just the way of life.
It's a way of life.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird to be reminded that that's where I came from. But it was people don't even order the chicken because they don't sell chicken because people don't order chicken. That's so it's just funny. Straight beef. So jumping straight to a vegan would be kind of impossible in that scenario. Yeah. And it's hard enough in LA.
When I was a vegan, it was 2013. So this was pre-Beyond Burger, cool. Impossible Burger, it would be so easy to be a vegan now. Mm-hmm. There are so many options.
Yeah.
But when I was doing it, and I went cold turkey too, and I just spent that's what I did that year too. It took so much time and effort to plan my meals and make sure that I was getting the right vitamins and minerals and everything, because I think B12 you don't get from B12. I think
there's something.
Yeah, there's things that you're missing. So anyway, it was just, it would be so much easier to do it now.
I'm sure. I've been taken to a vegan sushi place. It was pretty good.
See, but fish. I should have eaten fish as a vegan, which I wouldn't be a vegan.
Was it fish?
No, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, it'd be the fake fish.
Yeah, fake fish.
Faux fish.
It's like beets or something. Pickled beets for tuna. Probably.
Something. I have no idea, but it was pretty good.
I
don't like sushi.
Oh, I love. Chase just said today. You know what sounds good?
Sushi.
There's a good place in Sherman Oaks that we go to called Chicky Sushi. When we stayed here during the pandemic, we didn't go home for the holidays because cases were spiking like crazy in LA.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fear, and we were also very, very careful. And Chase has so much integrity. He was like, we're asking people to do this, and so what makes us any better to be well, we're going to go home and see our families. And so anyway, we stayed here and we got sushi. We just ate out every meal. So on Christmas Eve, we got Chinese food, I think. One of the Christmas, we got sushi. New Year's, we got sushi.
And it was takeout at the time.
And it was takeout at the time, yeah. We would just go pick it up and bring it here. Yeah. It was actually quite nice. We didn't have to travel.
It sounds great. I think back to my holiday. I didn't go I stayed in town for Thanksgiving.
You did? Yeah.
And I don't have a significant other.
Oh, Eddie.
So I had the same idea. It was I'm not gonna risk.
And that's very admirable for you, because I feel like without Chase, I might not have so much integrity, and I might be like, oh, I'm just going to go to my family's. I think it would be very hard. I don't feel.
I went for Christmas, but not for Thanksgiving.
Did you? Yeah, I don't feel any animosity to people that were like single during the pandemic and went to be with family. Like I get that, but if you have somebody, like we had no excuse. We were happy together and it was fine, and it's 1 year. But that's very admirable that you stayed here by yourself.
Thank you.
Oh, Eddie.
It was fine. It's just Thanksgiving.
Are you joking? Are you playing it down, or you really don't care about Thanksgiving?
It was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I would have loved to. I don't know. Being in LA in general, I try not to. It's a lot of effort to just travel back. So it's usually either Thanksgiving or Christmas anyway. So I was like, well, I'll take the hit on Thanksgiving.
The only downfall is that you can't gather with friends.
Yeah, normally there's other options to hang out with people, but this time I was like, well, I guess I'm more locked down.
Did you order in?
Oh, my parents were super nice. They hooked me up with like a whole.
Like a Thanksgiving
like a whole
meal.
catered, like the whole.
Aww.
Like Ralph's was doing some cool
so
things,
sweet.
so I had a whole.
How many kids do your parents have?
It's 2 of us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's manageable.
And my brother, because they're in Reno, up in Nevada, so my brother's up there with them.
Okay.
So all they had to do was just spend $60 and get me a full deal, and it was very nice.
Why you should only have 2 children. Because then you can be generous to the one that's alone on Thanksgiving.
Okay, go on. So what about what?
What?
Where did this come from? You should only have 2 children.
Oh no, I can't imagine. Well, I think I was thinking about your grandma, how she had 10 children, and then
it was a different time.
A different time, but it's just like, and also, I mean, I know people come from a big family, and Chase also he has a bunch of siblings, and it was just hard for them because there's so many of them growing up.
Quarantine?
Just in general growing up. There's just
with attention.
No, they're a really close family. They love each other so much. Just like financially, it was expensive to have that many kids, and they were working so much. And the American dream is it's not set up for poor people.
Getting into the good stuff here. All right. The American dream.
The American dream
poor
is
people,
dead.
Economy.
The American dream is only alive for billionaires. And all the poor people have bought into it.
Sure.
And agreed.
Go for it. Continue.
Do you
want to elaborate? What's
sparking this?
No, like what is the what are the poor people buying into specifically? I'm sure I'm on the same page. Just to clarify.
I just see so many people and it's so funny that they don't realize that they are voting against their own rights or well-being. They've bought into the billionaires set everything up. So it seems like the whole working 40 hours a week, there is this idea, especially in American culture, where that's admirable, to be hustling constantly. And that's, I know so many people that have bought into that.
Working 3 jobs to make it.
Working 3 jobs to make it happen. And I spend way too much time on Twitter online, and people saying well, this is not right. This is not the way that we should be living our lives. There's no time to spend with our families or garden or bake or do what are we put on this earth to do? To work and take a 2-week vacation every year that you are miserable because you're just so desperate for it to be perfect because it's your only vacation, your only 2 weeks of happiness, and then it's just miserable, and then you go back to, and so then if anybody says anything against that, well, this isn't really how it should be. These poor people that hustle and work this hard say, oh, you're just lazy, and they find so much self-worth in the fact that they work so hard, without realizing that that's not how it has to be, and that's not how it's supposed to be. That I don't think that God put us here to just slave away. God, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I feel like we are, especially in the last year, we're meant to enjoy life and eat and be with people, and that's what we're supposed to do, and make art.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to work the whole time.
Yeah.
People spend their whole lives working.
Because there's those other countries. I know I always see like the little headlines on some news articles about like such and such country moves to like a 3-day work week.
Yeah.
Or like a 4-hour work day.
Yes.
Like
there are studies that show that a 4-hour work day and a 4-day work week, people are just as much, if not more productive than people who work like 40 hours a week. And I personally, I went to esthetician school after high school. I got my skincare license.
Yes.
So I'd have like a backup job. And I was going, you have to do so many hours when you go to beauty school. So you have like this sheet of all the procedures you have to do. You have to do this many waxes and this many of this kind of facial and all these things you check off. But you also have to log like, I think maybe for esthetician it's like 600 hours. I don't remember. Most of those days were spent doing like Sudoku puzzles and just chatting. And it was like, we would be like, oh, well, I still have to do a Brazilian wax, but I have 2 more months that I have to be here, so I'll get to it eventually. And then you're just goofing off because you have to be there for those hours anyway. And I think that's what happens with work days. People are like, well, I have to be here all day long, so they just kind of lose interest, and they only end up doing about 4 hours of work. And so when you know, like, oh, I only have to be here for 4 hours, or I'm only here for 4 days, people work harder and they fill that time and they focus and they just do that 4 hours of work and then they're free. It's been shown.
No, for sure.
Productivity is better.
I'm a big fan of productivity and respecting one's time and all that kind of stuff. How do you... I don't know, it's funny. Very cool. Very nice. So billionaires.
We dove into the stock market this year.
Oh no.
And kind of realized I have to like...
It's the hot thing.
Yeah, I have to brush over this because, well, I just realized like I was at Costco. Okay. I'm going to tell you this story.
Sure.
So I was at Costco, and if you have a membership and it expires, I think they've got some system where it alerts, because there's now people that will come up to you when you're buying your new membership to sell you the level up. It used to be $50, now it's $60. So it's $60 for the basic, and if you want to have like the level up where you get 2% back on your purchases, it's another $60. So the guy came out, I did it once, and it just evened out. And if you don't hit that spending limit, they just give you your money back. And I think I was just under, it was $50 at the time. So I spent $50 the whole year. It's 2 of us. We don't shop at Costco that much. So it evened out. I think I got like $49 or something. They gave me $50 back. So essentially, I gave Costco $50 to hold on to for a year, and then they gave it back to me. What did Costco do with my $50 that year? They like invested it in their company, or they invested it into the stock market, and I got no return on that $50. Okay. If I had taken that $50 and invested in like Costco stock in the stock market, I would have got dividends, I would have gotten a return, or invested it into anything. So I like all just like clicked. Chase knows more about it than I do, but it recently just clicked, and I'm like going on walks with my mom trying to explain the stock market to her, and I'm like,
well, you're also stock market.
That's what
it scares me.
And
I don't like
it's you can do very low risk trades, and you just have to have like this long set mentality. You only realize losses if you sell at a loss. Sometimes stocks dip and you just hold. They will go back up again. Over time, stocks go up if you buy into good companies. If you look at the last 5 years chart, like most stocks go up. Yeah. So the idea is like to hold long term, but we'll do like trades, like option trades, where it's a whole thing I don't want to get into. I think it's going to be very boring, but anyway, it's very low risk, and you can make.
So I'm assuming you jumped into what about
GameStop?
What? Sure.
Is that what you were going to say?
No, I was gonna talk about not like Bitcoin specifically, but the...
I have a lot of Doge.
Great.
Doge is supposed to... There's a lot
I've heard some... I don't know.
I feel like, I mean, it originally was created to be like a joke.
Yeah.
But there's so much sentiment behind it. And they're actually trying to like put a cap on it so that eventually, like it will be a sustainable thing. And places are accepting it now. Money is just like this made up thing anyway.
Yeah.
So if people say it's worth something, it's worth something. You know what I mean?
No,
I think you have to be realistic on like how high you think it can go. Because I think maybe like $1 is probably like the top. It's like 33 cents.
Yeah, for now.
Right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's I'm imagining. I'm always late to the game and all this kind of stuff. Where I'm a big fan of like, I don't know. Everybody's talking about it. I normally just take a step back and I'm like, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
But
it is kind of boring. But then once it clicks, it's like, oh wow.
No, for sure.
There's a lot of money to be made here, and this is like the other thing. It's rich people teach their kids this, and that's why they stay rich. For example, if you have like $100,000 and you put it into a high yield, like a dividend account where you're getting paid like 2% every year, that's a lot of money and then you compound the interest. So everything you made that year, you put it back in and then you're making interest on that. That's how and that's like old fashioned. That's like boomer investing, what they call dividend investing. It's just so when you have a lot of money, you're just making money on the money. They're not even working. It just blows my mind that they're not even working. And they teach their kids to invest in real estate and invest in the stock market, and they have money to start out with. You can't go wrong. But like you can blow it all, but
sure.
Poor people don't teach their kids this because they don't know. They haven't been taught. My parents have no idea about the stock market. I'm trying to teach them now and get them to invest. I want them to teach themselves so that they are making their own.
They know what they're doing versus
because our families will be like, well, just take our money and invest it for us, and I was like, well, no, I'm not.
I like the idea of that. It's like,
well, you can get
you can pay for that.
You can
pay for that.
You can get a financial advisor.
Yes. That's just, it stresses me out for sure.
That's
just money. Money stresses. Yeah. That's poor people. Broke people.
There's also, I think, like this, especially like as a struggling artist and comedian, there's this like romanticism about being poor and broke and struggling. It's like hard to, once these comedians become really successful, it's like, well, they're out of touch. They have, they're multi-million-dollar houses, and it's hard for them to make comedy because the people watching the comedy,
they don't relate anymore. Yeah. I think I saw Kevin Hart's recent special where he did it from his house, kind of late COVID, and he had some commentary on.
Yeah, they all have to. That's what they have to talk about because they're so rich now.
Yeah, Kevin Hart's a rich man. I don't know. Let me ask some simple questions here. Again, you mentioned you're not really identifying as a comedian. You are still a comedian.
I am, yeah.
You spelled comedian with an "an" at the end.
A comedian? Did I?
Yeah.
I go back and forth. That's funny.
I've never seen it before.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
It's
a joke.
I think that's kind of.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a real thing.
No, it's not a joke. It's the old-fashioned. It's the female comedian.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, like actor and actress, comedian and comedian.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I kind of say it as a joke because it's so old-fashioned.
Yeah, because it wouldn't.
But then I feel like people don't understand that I'm joking all the time, so then I'm like, I gotta.
Well, I assume it's a joke because it's you, but.
I'm always joking. Everything's a joke.
Everything's a joke. All right, that was an easy one. Aspiring fancy grandma.
Yeah, I want to be a fancy grandma. For a long time, I was like, I don't know if I want kids, but I certainly want to be. I had really great grandmas, and my dad's mom is my fancy grandma. So she's the one that introduced me to like high tea and Beatrix Potter, and she was a family and marriage therapist, and she just had like these are actually her pillows.
Oh, nice.
She doesn't know I have them because I think that she.
Oh, you took them.
I took. Well, my parents. They were at my parents, and I was like, I just love these pillows. She had them custom made. So she has like such a sense of design, and I don't know, she's just my fancy grandma. So I want to be like a fancy grandma. But now I think I do want kids, which is good because I think I have to have them to be the grandma. I have to be a mom.
I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
You can still have the persona for other people's kids.
Yeah.
Like I see a lot of people posting photos with like, oh, like they're the fancy aunt or that kind of thing.
I was listening to your grandma's podcast though, and I was thinking, and the more I'm going to get very sentimental.
Sure.
The more that I think it is like a biological thing that like kicks in, where like in your 30s you're like, oh, I need to reproduce, even though it's very illogical and not right for us, especially like where we're living.
Us as in
me and Chase.
Okay.
Yeah, at this point in our lives. But I have like this urge to like be a mother now.
That's interesting.
And then listening to your great grandma talk about her mother, I just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. I love the fact that like she carried that with her, and I was like, eventually, that will be forgotten. Like these generations, there's so many of my generations that I never knew, and how special for your great grandma to be there and see all of her. Like, didn't she have great grandchildren?
I think she made it that far. Yeah.
Yeah,
because I have a cousin. Yeah, so that has kids that are like 9 or 10 or something.
Yeah.
So she
and they will all remember her and who she was, but the way that she talked about her mother.
Remind me, what did she say?
She said
about
her mom. She said that she was so talented. She was like, my poor mother didn't go past 5th grade, and she was so smart and so talented. She could embroider and sew, and she canned foods. It's like the things that I do. And I was like, I'm your great grandmother's mother. Like I just have like this.
Yeah, that's great.
This whole like flash of like, if I have a child, just to be thought of by somebody that way, I think that's what life is about. To have a child see you in that light, and then like carry that on, and then make generations of children. See, I'm not always joking.
No,
I'm very emotional. I can't retell my favorite movies because this is what happens. If I tell you like the end of The Wedding Singer, forget about it.
I love it. That's great. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, though?
Yeah, no, I definitely know what you mean. It's something definitely I feel like worth aspiring to. It's also it is interesting looking back on like childhood as well, just in general, and thinking about the stuff that made impressions on you as a kid, and like that you remember about interactions you had with adults or other family members, and then the idea of being able to do that for somebody else at some point, like that's kind of a nice thing. I don't have the urges of the kids reproducing, but
do you think eventually?
No, for sure. I don't. In that same episode, I was talking to my great grandma at the very end about, because I'm Eddie.
Yeah, you have the
fifth. And I asked her, I don't know, you probably didn't listen to the whole thing, I'm going to assume. But at the very end, I asked her about the continuity of the Eddie lineage.
Oh, yeah.
Of like, I don't have any kids yet.
Oh, no, I don't think I heard that.
Is there any pressure on continuing the Eddie line because she was married to Eddie Jr.? Right. I'm Eddie 5.
Oh, does the Eddie have to
Am I obligated by the
father
family?
The next Eddie?
Yeah, am I obligated to name, let's say if I do have kids at all, boy pops out.
Yeah.
This is Eddie the 6th.
Yeah. Is it Edward?
It's Eduardo. Yeah.
What if you have a girl and Edwina? And Eddie is such a cute name for a girl.
No.
I like
that doesn't work like
I like
that.
the masculine names.
That's
kind of
cool. It's kind of cool, actually. I feel like
I love like George. I have a whole list also in my phone of baby
names for girls.
Girls and just if I have a girl or a boy.
A girl named George.
Georgia and call her Georgie.
Oh, Georgia.
How
not just
cute
George.
is that? Yeah, it wouldn't just be straight George. I love the name Charlie, but we're Darwins, so we can't name a boy Charles Darwin. No. But we could name a girl Charlotte and call her Charlie, and she could be Charlie Darwin. How cute is that?
Charlie Darwin. That's great.
For a girl.
That's great.
It's great.
I buy into it. So, no, Eddie, okay, yeah. But the joke with my friends early on, too, was like, well, no, the girl will not be named Eddie, was the initial thought. And I just it's kind of like back in the old Middle Ages of, you just bring in different women until they bear a son.
So was the plan.
And then you slaughter the women that don't do it right.
Of course,
and
as you do.
Yeah.
And so how did your grandma feel about that?
No, what she was saying was, I don't know. She didn't quite answer the question.
Yeah.
She was kind of implying that do what makes you feels right, and no pressure on that. Technically 5 it's great.
Yeah.
And I think her thought was, once you reach the 5th generation down, from her perspective.
Yeah, she saw all of it, the history unfold.
So yeah, she knew Eddie number 1.
Yeah.
To Eddie 5.
That was her husband, right?
Junior was husband.
Oh wow.
So his dad was Uno.
Holy cow.
So she knew 5 generations of Eddie.
Wow.
So she's like, well, success.
Yeah.
Success. So
yeah, you can't hope for it to go forever. And to be able to see 5 generations is just amazing.
That's crazy.
It'd be nice to know, it will go on for that long, but to see it all unfold is spectacular.
It's a whole thing.
I'm going to be a very old mother. I would be great if I can't imagine being able to see my great-grandchildren.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially if my children wait as long as I do. I'm going to be doing to them what my parents are doing to us. Give me some grandkids.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And especially me, because that's the whole goal.
That's the whole goal. Otherwise, what was the point?
What was the point of having you? You should have seen my Instagram bio.
Yeah,
I wanted to be a fancy grandma.
Exactly. Which is where this all started on this tangent. Not a tangent, but... All right, so are you looking forward to old age? Is that also part of the grandma thing?
No,
Okay.
no.
I am.
Are you really? No, I want to stay young. I think it's going to be very startling to see the aging actually start to... I don't have any grays. I don't know. I feel like I look the same as I've looked. I'm sure I think my face is actually thinned out over in my 20s. I was had a little. Actually, I prefer it now. But once everything starts drooping, I think this is becoming a little. I could see the jowls forming.
Sure.
Yeah, and that startles me.
That's interesting.
I don't. No.
So, all right. But have you thought about the quirks that you have?
I'm going to be the funniest old lady, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, exactly. Projecting your current self over the progression of what you may be later, and how adorable that's going to be. Is that a thought that you have?
Well, I've always had this fear that I was going to grow up to be Arthur because I'm so tall.
Arthur.
Be Arthur, the one who played Dorothy on the Golden Girls.
Nope.
What?
Sorry.
You have to watch the Golden Girls. Some of the best jokes are in the Golden Girls.
Okay.
Very good writing, very quippy. Anyway, she's the sarcastic one that has most of the one-liners. And And she was just, B. Arthur was a comedic genius, and I would be so lucky to be like B. Arthur, but she was always so tall. She's the same height as me.
Oh,
I
so
looked
you
it up.
relate.
I think I actually might be a little taller than her. And, but compared to Rue McClanahan, Estelle Getty, and Betty White, they're all itty bitty. They're like just over 5 feet.
Yeah, they're
so
tiny.
She's towering, which I am usually towering over people, and
That's
I
great.
just feel like I'm going to be a large old lady, and I think you're supposed to be. Hopefully, I'll shrink.
You'll
a
shrink.
little bit.
You'll get that hunch in. And...
No, I'm hoping to stay like active, and I'm realizing how important physical fitness is, just to like be able to be comfortable in life, and I don't want to start like seizing up and not be able to lift things, and it's already kind of
that's a real talk for sure.
Yeah, it's scary, and you have to start young, because once you're like 50s or 60s, it's like it's hard to get. Even now, it's like when we go off of our routine, it's very hard to get back. I went roller skating yesterday, and I was like, my back hurt.
Oh, jeez. Please.
No, I did. It really did. My knees click from doing spin and squats. See, if you use your body, you also kind of ruin it. So there's no winning.
It's a
you just have to age.
It's an aging process. But I think about, I guess I was like projecting onto you a little bit, but I think about quirks that I have now that are kind of like weird.
And you're like, that will be adorable.
And I'm like, when I'm old and I'm just like at the dinner table making these weird, or just, I don't know, I do like these weird hums and oohs, like ooh, like when I'm just in conversation listening to people, and it's just like, oh, he's just old over there. He doesn't really hear us. He's just...
That's so funny to be able to like step outside of yourself and say like, that was... Look it. That's going to be really cute on old Eddie.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to playing into it, if anything. Like ideally, you're self-aware.
You take it up a notch.
There's a self-awareness where you're just playing up the grandpa role. I don't know. I thought quite a bit about it. I'm like, it's going to be great.
Yeah, you're going to have some fun with it.
Yeah. Otherwise, again, what's the point?
What's the point?
If you're not going to capitalize on who you are. Okay. This is felt like a simple one. We talked a little bit about. I didn't know this ahead of time, but you mentioned that you've worked every single job under the sun.
Yeah.
I did want to. There seems like. You mentioned that you're a big fan of sourdough and that you're a baker.
Yeah.
Is there anything in there worth? Tell me.
What, talking about, or like?
Yeah. Like, I don't bake. I don't know if sourdough was like a quarantine lockdown phase everybody got into.
I was doing my sourdough starter is named Robbie Start.
Okay.
Do you know the wedding singer? Another nod to my favorite film.
I've seen it.
His name is Robbie Hart. So you're supposed to name your sourdough starter. It's a thing.
Okay, makes the bread better.
Yeah. Well, that's your leaven,
Science.
and that's your yeast. So you don't have to. You just add some starter and flour and water and salt, and then it rises. It's amazing.
Okay,
mine is over a year old. You know what? I started it before, but then I killed it, and so I think I did start another one during
lockdown.
Yeah, I think I did. I think it was February. I started it in February. So we didn't know what was before us.
Yeah.
So it was a pre-pandemic starter, and it's still going. You feed it. You throw out the discard every day, or you make bread with it, and then you just add flour and water, and it bubbles up again. It's basically like a live.
I'm unfamiliar with the process.
Unfamiliar?
Yeah, I'd have to see it.
I do everything basically, though. I love
and this is a thing you've always done.
I've always done a little bit of everything,
Okay.
Which I feel like is like a downfall and also a blessing. Like I have a lot to talk about, of a lot of interests.
Yeah.
I can go have a meeting with somebody and not talk about the fact that I'm an actor, but also it's hard for me to focus on certain things because there's so many things that I want to do. And I could see myself like being a baker. I had a business, a wedding company that I ran out of my kitchen, like where the kitchen table and everything is, that used to be stacked to the ceiling with antique dishes in like racks. So I collected and curated this collection of antique china, goblets, flatware, and I would rent them out to weddings. And I did that for like 4 years.
Yes.
And I ran it from here. Everything had to be hand washed, and I would carry those racks like up and down these stairs. It was so much work, and I sold it right before the pandemic happened. I shipped everything to Ohio in December of 2019.
Yeah.
It like the timing was amazing. But that was like, I love weddings. I love doing that, but it was something that pulled my focus away from like acting and writing.
Right.
And I would love to be a florist. I love arranging flowers. That's like another dream job of mine, but that's just like something else that would pull me away.
Have you had, because you mentioned weddings, that was your extent to providing to weddings, was the dish. You didn't do any event coordinating or jump into that? No, but I should
have. Now I kind of want to do like event design. I just threw a baby shower for my friend during the pandemic.
I read about that in your blog.
Did you read my blog?
Yeah, I
Thank
checked
you so
it out.
much.
Yeah.
So, and I designed the whole thing, and I baked everything for that, and I did the flowers.
That was crazy.
I did a lot.
That was crazy. Very cool.
Which I mean, if I wasn't like trying to save money and everything, I could hire out. But also, I just want it all to be
especially for that specific experience.
Yeah, it was so.
The involvement was kind of the point.
Yeah. And we had to keep it so intimate, and but yeah, I the baking kind of did happen during the pandemic. I started like painting cakes and cookies and stuff in the pandemic as like an art form. But then it's like hard because we try not to eat sugar most of the time, and then how do I bake and do my art and then not eat it?
Because that's the issue with baking though too, right? Is it's always what do we say? What do people try not to eat?
Gluten?
No, not gluten. Specifically, it was
carbs.
The carbs.
Yeah.
It's a carb life.
It's a carb life. Yeah. It's not.
It's a great show name too.
Carb life.
It's a carb life.
It's not conducive to being an actor if you're in the category of not like extreme character actor, where you like have to worry about maintaining your body size that your headshot. You just can't change very much, and I don't know. That sounds a little bit like phobic.
The fear of
like fat phobic or something. I don't mean that at all.
Just the fear of change of face change.
Yeah. Well, no. I guess for my type, I feel like I have to stay.
For your type,
I have to stay fit. Somewhat.
No, for sure. Being fit is great anyway. It's a great excuse to. No, it's good for your life. Yes. I feel when I cut sugar out of my diet, I feel kind of like I imagine it is when people drink a lot and they cut out alcohol. Like I feel healthy when I wake up. My mind is clearer. I have more energy. Which I imagine, like, when you drink a lot and then you stop doing that, you stop waking up kind of hungover every day. Right, no, yeah, definitely.
More hydrated. But yeah, it's just, when I have an event, it's great because then I can bake for them and then get it out of the house.
That's great. So jumping back to the baby shower experience a little bit, I guess the curiosity, because you mention, again, in your blog, that up until that point, I didn't take a note on when the baby shower happened, but it sounded like it was a deep lockdown.
Yeah.
Where
it was October of 2020.
Where you hadn't done anything for a long time,
right?
Because of the whole doing our part thing.
Right, yeah.
So I was curious on if hosting the event changed any perspective on what is possible during the COVID time.
Yeah, that was exactly why I wanted to share it.
Yeah.
Because it was like, well, we're still wearing masks and a lot of, I mean, I feel like it could very well extend, especially if people are not getting vaccinated. And then there's another variant that's coming over that the vaccine protects against, but people don't want to take the vaccine. And we're just going to have another outbreak. I could very well see that happening, which is so frustrating because it's just like we all want to get back to life. Scout, are you coming out?
It's all
Are you coming out?
Yeah, because there was the news. I don't know. The news. I hate the news. The news.
The news.
There was the scare headline of like very contagious, very effective, specific strain from India was found in Los Angeles.
Right. Yeah, it's here.
And I'm like, well, we've had every strain in LA.
Yeah.
It's not like,
I don't think it's anything to worry about if you, do you want to come up here? She wants to be part of the world.
Oh, hey. And then there's the news of we're at like 50% of the country's been vaccinated, which is very cool. But
we're ahead of every country, but we have all the vaccines. Like we need 70%, right?
Yeah, and then they were showing the I think it was last week tonight. John Oliver, I watched his segments.
Yeah.
And the percentage was we want to reach 70%, but then if based on polling, there's a percentage of people that are straight up no, I'm not going to get the vaccine. Yeah. And then there's kids that can't get vaccinated.
Right. That's why
the
it's
percentage,
so selfish.
the percentages will never. There's no way. It's impossible to reach.
Yeah.
The thing.
I think that they're just going to. I think there's going to be a mass exodus of these people that won't get vaccinated and won't acknowledge that this is a real thing. And also, unfortunately, like the people that can't take the vaccine are going to also be victims of that because there's all these unvaccinated people walking around spreading this virus that's still, I just makes me livid to no end. But yeah, so Chase and I were very, very diligent about, doing everything by the book. And when she announced that she was pregnant, it was actually like right at the start of lockdown. And this is going to be their only child. They're only having one. And she didn't get like a bachelorette kind of thing. She got married abroad in Scotland in his country.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it was beautiful. They got married in a castle. It was beautiful. But she really wanted to have a baby shower. And I was kind of like, okay, well, it can be like 10 people max.
Yeah.
And it was, including her and her mom, who was living with her at the time. There were just 10 of us total, so it was super intimate. It was outside. I don't think in October we were quite hitting like those holiday, because it was hot weather still. And during the summer we were, it was bad numbers that whole year, but I feel like it was one of the dips where
in temperature you're referring to temperature
in
or
numbers,
COVID
numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, our hospitals weren't overflowing, and I was like, okay, well, we can do this. I was like, I think we should just do it after the pandemic, but
which we're
still,
it wouldn't have known. It's an indefinite
the baby might be 2, but then we'll have a shower for you. So anyway, she had just bought a house during the pandemic as well. She was very busy, so we had a backyard area to host it, and then I through my wedding connections, my company was very similar to one in Ventura called Otis and Pearl for all of your vintage rental needs. She had all of these like vintage rugs and poofs and pillows and stuff to sit on. So she let us borrow those, and every girl had their own picnic area. So we were all just outside on our own little rugs, and I made picnic baskets for everyone, and all of the foods were like individual. There wasn't like a quiche we were cutting into or anything.
Yeah.
And most of us wore masks outside too, like while we weren't eating. Everybody was pretty careful, and we had no outbreaks. It all went fine. So
yeah.
it worked out. But yeah, I think that like people can do that going forward. I was like, this is an example of how to host an event if there should be a pandemic or if you have something coming up. You can. It's possible.
Yeah, because you, I feel, okay, because you talked a little bit in the piece as well. Piece referring to your blog.
My blog. Thank you so much.
Is you were educating a little bit in the beginning of the evolution of the shower, baby shower,
Yeah.
in general. You're like back in the 90s, it was more of like done. It was more done in this fashion, but now it's kind of evolved into this newer thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure. I guess maybe you could educate me a little bit more now, but on if I've maybe been to a handful of baby showers, if that, maybe like 2 in my life.
Yeah.
I don't even remember much about them, but
well, see, that's a right away. That's a no for me.
The lack of remembrance.
I
or maybe
think
being invited in the
you
first
being
place.
at the shower.
It's more of a unisex life.
Yeah.
Where gender is irrelevant. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think. I mean, I think that. Yeah, there's no way to say this now where it doesn't sound offensive. But I grew up being like, it was like a ladies' day, like the dads would go golfing.
That's what everybody really wants, I think.
I mean, if you've got like a gay best friend, he's invited, but the dudes, anyone who's like a dude, whether you're male or female, they're not going to have fun at the shower, or the kind of showers that I want to host.
Sure.
I remember showers just being like, just like a very low-key event. Somebody who had a really beautiful house would host it, and you'd play silly little games, and you would eat quiche. And
we're similarly aged.
Yeah.
And you refer to the 90s.
Yeah.
I don't imagine you going to baby.
I went to a lot of baby showers. Well, because I would go with my mom. So I went to like my cousin Adrian's baby shower. I went to all the baby showers.
And those are
they're happy memories for me.
That's
because
great.
I just felt like, ooh, I'm one of the ladies, and we'll we'll eat cake and we'll do the yarn, which is also a terrible game, but it's like there's a game where you do a yarn measurement. How big do you think the lady is?
Oh my.
How big do you think her belly is?
I did play that game.
The trick is to underestimate.
I overestimate.
Oh, they always overestimate. That is the way that you lose the game. We just played this actually with my sister-in-law had a baby. I usually measure myself, and then I add just a tiny bit, because really, and also like especially if they're like a petite lady, I'm going to be naturally like a little bit bigger, wider in the back, and then, and I lost the game because I cut off an inch at the last minute. I was like, oh, it's too big, and I cut off an inch, and then it just was like an inch too short.
Is it Price is Right rules with closest without going over?
Oh no, not with. It's just like whoever's the closest. I think somebody got like it exact, so nice. It would have been a tie. But yeah, like the '90s baby showers. I feel like when we were kids, we didn't have social media. And we didn't have this constant. It was so good. It was so good. I really wish it would all just go away.
We had it. It's, it is what it is.
There's no way to go back now.
You can't. The genie's out.
It's just so sad. It's so sad that we can never go back. Because I feel like so much of we're living online now. Like now, people throw events for the pictures, and it's disgusting. And of course, like there was a part of me, like the baby shower that I threw for Jenny was way more elaborate than the baby showers that I went to in the 90s, where it was just in a honeysuckle covered house, and it was a beautiful day, and there were maybe some balloons. It wasn't. Now you have to compete. I tried to submit this one to a blog, and they were like, oh, this is beautiful, and but, we just don't think there's enough here. And I was like, what they're saying is we didn't have a plywood backdrop with a peacock chair.
The classic Pinterest.
There's like a Pinterest, and it's like whatever's in right now. is just so, it's just terrible. And I think that people, like after my wedding, I was like, I would lay in bed at night and second guess decisions that I had made, it was so unhealthy. And I would be like, oh, I could have done this. And trends change so quickly in events, especially in the wedding world, that there's no way to like always stay on trend. I'm actually writing my wedding blog right now because our anniversary, our 5-year anniversary is at the end of the month. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm going back and looking at the pictures now. It's kind of very like cottagecore, what they call now is cottagecore. It's very like 90s inspired. It was in 2016. Which at the time wasn't like super in, but now is kind of trendy. So it's just so stupid to try and like follow the trends. You just have to do what makes you happy and what.
There you go. I was going to ask for the advice.
Yeah. What made like?
Because you are also what you would call what is called master thrifter.
I am a master thrifter.
So I'm assuming that also plays into.
I thrifted this.
Wonderful.
$2.
Great.
I find so much joy. This is all thrifted. I find so much joy over like telling people how much I paid for things. This is actually one of my coolest thrifts. Did you see this? I put this on social media.
If you don't mind describing it for the listeners.
Oh, can they not see it?
Well, they can see it on the video, but not on
his face
audio.
might be cut off. So this is,
great.
I call him Frank, because he just looks like a Frank to me, although somebody pointed out that he looks exactly like Bernie Sanders when he was...
The meme.
Yeah, the meme Bernie. But he just looks like a fisherman to me or something, and it's very hard finding original portraits. This is kind of like... It's very rare. This is an original. That's an original. That's a print. It's hard to find a. This is this is an original. Some of these are pretty good, pretty like well-known artists. It's just like treasure hunting when you find them. Right. But this guy I found in a North Hollywood thrift store, and I turned him over. He's wearing a red hat, and it's just kind of bundled up. And I turned him over, and I saw this Polaroid stuck in the back, and I was like, it couldn't be. Flip it over. Take it. You go for it. It's the reference photo.
Oh, okay. I want to ask about prepping for a wedding while also being a master thrifter. We dropped out on audio at some point where we were talking about this nice backdrop that we have here.
All the thrifted goodies.
The thrifted goodies.
Yeah.
So I guess with that, I was just asking about that on the standard of you knowing what you like and being able to hand that off to maybe somebody else or how you did it. I don't know.
I started thrifting when that was like the one thing that I knew that I wanted for our wedding was at the time vintage mismatched china was kind of like trendy.
Okay.
And I was like, and we got married out like an hour outside of Yosemite in this tiny little woodland town. So, there's not a lot. We had to bring everything in, and I was like, well, I can just start thrifting. We didn't have a date set, and so I just, every time I had any free time, I would just thrift, and I would spend like 12, 13 hours a day sometimes. Anytime I ended up in a new area of LA, because at the time I was doing these environmental assemblies where they hated us, but we would go into elementary schools and do like this really cheesy dance on like and song, the whole presentation on reduce, reuse, recycle and e-waste and all of that kind of things. It was
and they
fun.
Hated you.
The children, I mean, if it was like kindergarten through third grade, it was like, okay, this will be a fine day. But if it was like fourth, fifth, sometimes they would throw the sixth graders in at us, and it was just brutal. It was so it was such like an anyway. So in between, I would go all over LA. Okay. And if I was like in Pomona, I would be like, I'm gonna see what thrift stores are in Pomona, and at the time I was just going to like the dish section. I would just go real quick, in and out, and that was all I looked at. And then, so I built that business up, and I did thrift for a lot of, like, everything for our wedding.
So the business, so you thrifted for your own wedding.
Yeah, turned into a business because you
already had everything.
Yeah, I started learning the china, and now I can like pick up a plate and tell you if it's bone china without looking at the back. I can kind of tell like how old it is. The stamps, you learn a lot by the stamps and the manufacturers, and
you could be one of those experts they call in on like the pawn shop.
Yeah.
Pawn
stars,
yeah. We're going to call Brooke in and tell us more about this.
Like, this is Limoges. Like, I did find a set in Long Beach that was Limoges, made for like this jewelry company or like this family. And it was very ornate, white and gold. So then and you can like look into the history of them. It's pretty cool. But I became obsessed with it, and I started buying things that I was like, well, I'm not going to use this for our wedding probably, but it's too good to pass up. It's too good a deal. And I ended up creating like a whole business out of it, and I had different collections. I'd have like the blue and white, kind of like that English china, and then floral china, and the white and gold collection. And then I had gold flatware and silver flatware. It was like I started booking weddings, and they would be like, oh, I like this collection, but do you have pink goblets? And I would say, sure. And then I would go buy them.
Go thrift.
I would go thrift, or I would have, in desperate cases, I would order them off eBay, because a lot of the stuff was manufactured in the Midwest. And it's really expensive and hard to find out here, especially now. Now I go thrifting, and I wouldn't be able to build the company that I did because I hardly ever see the things that I used to thrift. And this was like 2014, 15. Now thrifting is like so trendy.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's a thrifter. I came late to the game. During the pandemic, I was like, well, I've been doing this for years. And I started a YouTube channel where I take people thrifting with me, but I mean, I came in so late. There's already these people that are just, so famous for thrifting. And then from that, I started thrifting clothes when I like really needed a pair of pants that I wanted 100% cotton jeans, and they just didn't make them. Even like the fanciest, they were all stretchy and they're not going to last that long. So I was hunting down, and I found a pair of Calvin Kleins from the 90s that were 100%. It was like the thrill of that, and then that got me into like hunting for vintage fashion. Like 90% of my wardrobe is thrifted now, and then I just wish that I had known like. Now my Instagram, like my fancy Instagram, is where I share my home. I kind of abandoned the other one. I have more followers on my on my home styling DIY.
I'll have to switch over.
I
have this I have this policy where if somebody has multiple accounts, I just try to follow one of them.
Oh, you do? Yeah, switch over, because I'm not even posting on that other one for like years. That's why I also don't really believe in having two accounts, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna. That was my business account, the one.
You the actor-centric one versus.
I had the actor one that was more like my personal one, and then I had a business account for my company.
Oh, okay.
And when I sold the company, I kept that business account and just started sharing more thrifting, DIYs, home decor kind of stuff. So. That's,
Yeah, and everything's there, like you're baking. I think you put like little.
I put everything on there. And that's why I was like, well, this is, nobody wants to be like, I'm on set. Like, how boring is that? Just all the time.
I'm on set.
Pictures of you're on set. Great. Show me a gallery wall. Show me like how to.
Well, that's me just feeling attacked now, because that's all I post.
No, I don't think so. I think you have interesting things. You have like with people, and I just think it's silly when people have an actor account. Like you are the product. Why would you make a separate account for your acting?
Well, there's the fear of saturating the people that they already have with photos of set. when they want to have, here's me at the beach and then
Right.
here's me working.
But I feel like
It's one and the same, yeah.
I know, but like I had this stand-up, like one of my first stand-up jokes was like, another one of my friends made a Facebook fan page for themselves. And here's the thing, like, if you have time to run a fan page for yourself, you probably don't need one.
Oh, no.
Like the fact, do you have an actor page?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, Eddie.
I mean, I don't have an actor page.
Do you have a director page?
I don't have a director page.
Oh, okay.
I don't do that. But I know people who do, and it just makes me feel bad.
Oh, they just need to, somebody needs to tell them. I'll be the one to tell them.
All right.
Don't have an actor page for yourself unless you're so, like the reason that people have fan pages is because they're so busy working all the time that they can't run a fan page.
They have
a
media manager that handles that.
And now we have like this social media age where a lot of the celebrities are active on social media anyway. So there's, like, people just want to see into your lives. They don't want to see all of those like polished pictures of and the friends that I had that would have an actor page, it was like they're just sharing the same things. So they would like share it there and then they would share that post on their like personal. It's just like, this is too much.
So you had a bit about that?
That was the bit. That was it.
That was the bit.
That was the whole thing.
And then your audience is full of actors already.
Yeah, I know.
They're all just like, boo.
No, actually,
that's me.
That was no. You know what? At open mic, I mean, it's like the audience is mostly normal people. People going to see stand up. Not a lot of actors. Actors don't like to support each other. It's hard to get your friends to come out to your shows, but they're the people that live in Burbank and work, and they want to go see comedy on the weekends. Yeah, and then the people at open mics are comics that think they're too good for all that, and they would probably not have a page for themselves.
I don't know. Because I didn't meet you through Avital Ash.
Right.
But I kind of semi did.
Is that why you were at the show?
I was at the show because of Avital. And I had initially met her because I went to this like free comedy night underground play. It was like a nice little wine shop that had like an underground section for a free show. Oh,
in like Silver Lake Echo Park area, right?
Maybe.
I think I know. I've done like open mics there. Yeah.
And me and a buddy just dropped in because we were kind of bored. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, let's go down.
Yeah.
And then everybody in that circle was comedians except for me and my buddy.
Okay.
So my initial thought was like, well, but that was like a specific event where, I don't know, I thought just because it was free, you can just show up and practice your material.
Yeah, well, you can. I mean, that's amazing to have. That's why open mics are so brutal, is because it's mostly just, like, bless you for going and sitting and being an audience member, because it's mostly comedians that are just trying to work on their stuff. And there was a woman's open mic at, I think it was called Tao. Or Dow. I think it's spelled with a T, but it's pronounced with Dow. In like on Western Boulevard, Bobby Oliver runs it or ran it. And on Monday nights, it was just like a women's open mic, and that was the most supportive, helpful open mic that I would go to, because people would stay the whole time. We would actually like laugh if the joke was funny. I always would try and make an effort to, even if it's not funny in the moment, like I knew that it would work in front of an audience, I would try and give it a laugh.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That's interesting.
That's the whole point of doing an open mic, is to work out your material and see which jokes are landing and which aren't. Open mics are brutal. I never had a bad show, but I had mostly bad open mics. It's just a different audience. Yeah. So it's mostly comedians that are just worried about their own stuff, and they're not really paying attention to the person on stage. It's like, why are you doing that? Because when you get on stage, you're going to need everybody to pay attention to your jokes. It's just, there's this coolness among the struggling LA comedians that is very unappetizing.
Yeah.
Like they need to be a little bit more supportive of each other.
Well, it's kind of like, what is it similar to the effect of actors supporting actors, like comedians supporting comedians? Is similar relationship.
It's all like we're all performers. We all need each other to. We can't just be performing to nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like we were talking about thrifting at some point in there, and tracked it off. So I don't need to. I don't know if we have
You
to
can
go
come back
back.
to thrifting.
I don't know. Okay, so
I don't remember what. The only other thing that I will say about thrifting is that I wish that I had realized when I was younger and like creating. Oh, sorry, keep doing that. Creating a home.
mm,
This is important, especially because, if you're coming to LA, if you're going to do any career in this business, you should have a sanctuary. You should have a home. You should have things that you enjoy to do that have nothing to do with acting. So when you don't have those things to fulfill you, you have a separate life. And thrifting is a fun activity. It's such a fun hobby. And it's good for the planet. And it's so affordable to create like a beautiful home without spending a ton of money. This couch was a Craigslist find. Everything.
sure.
This couch was a Craigslist find. I think it's like $1,000 IKEA couch. Like if you bought it new.
Okay.
I bought it for $150, and then I got a brand new cover for it. So on like there's
For the entirety of
for
the couch.
entire couch. Yeah, the ottoman. This is just like a little, and I got sample swatches so I could pick the color velvet I wanted, and I spray painted the legs gold, which I want to replace those with like more like whittled legs, like the kitchen table.
Okay.
But yeah, this coffee table Chase loves. It's so rough and rustic, but I do a lot of projects here, and it's very sturdy.
Looks like a good workbench.
It's like a work. Well, it was free. We had a guy who lived in the building for like 30 years, and he was a gardener. So this was like his gardening table, and then the landlords made him throw it away for some reason, and we were like, well, we'll take it, and we brought it into the apartment, and I did our wedding invitations. I've worked on my dollhouse on this table. I sand. You can see it's real rough. I can refinish it at some point, but it's like it's probably stuff on it. But it's
No, it's great.
it's functional.
Yeah.
Chase won't let me replace the legs. I want to replace those with like more farmhouse cute like whittled legs, but it's so sturdy that he's worried if I change the legs, it's going to be wobbly. Yeah,
there's a risk factor.
So it's like I would definitely replace the coffee table, but we have our meals here.
Yeah, no, that's great advice, and I like it a lot.
Did that not answer your question?
I don't know. There was no question.
Oh, okay.
But like I think about it's very lovely. I haven't, because I've only been in LA. November is going to be 3 years for me, and I haven't been in a consistent spot long enough to be able. Because you'd mentioned you've been here effectively
over
forever.
9 years, yeah.
So it's kind of like I can tell. It's like, all right, great.
Yeah, we moved in.
It's great, and I am. It's very inspirational.
Eddie's looking at. I have shelves everywhere. Like our TV wall is all shelving. I have shelves in the kitchen.
I like these cool golden rods that go up the whole wall, and you just have stuff jetting out of it.
Well, that's just track shelving, and then that's just standard like track shelving that you would have in a pantry or something. But I spray painted the tracks gold, and it looks a little fancier.
Yeah, that's very.
And you can move those shelves around too. No, that's the fun thing. I really like to redecorate constantly, and those are.
It makes it easy to adjust. Yeah. No, it's. I look forward to the day when I have a special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it seems great, and
I'm to the point where like I just can't wait till we have our house, and because there's so many. I want to put up wallpaper. I want a powder room that's just like. Bam, like a real funky powder room where I can put up some fun wallpaper or paint it like really dark and dramatic, and then you can I want to remodel, I want to do fun stuff. I really want to restore a vintage house and bring it back to oh my gosh, that's like the dream. So yeah, living in an apartment, there's only so many things you can do. Like I can spackle these holes and I can repaint, but otherwise, there's not a whole lot.
And
you got to get creative.
It seems like you're going as far as you can, which is great.
I am pushing the limits.
Great. Let's see. I want to talk. So I guess comedy, stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about it, but what are your current thoughts now that there's like the forced stepping away from that? What are your current opinions on jumping back into doing that again, or is there any? I don't know. Do you? What's the? I don't. Because we already talked about how like writing and acting, writer actor.
I do plan to go back to stand up eventually. I was very anti Zoom stand up. I wouldn't even watch a show because it's such like a
disconnection.
It's like a lie. I don't know. It's just so weird to me to do stand up on a Zoom, especially because it's all about the laughs and people. I think you have to mute your mics or else you get some weird feedback and you get all this weird stuff. So it's like I don't know how they did it. I didn't watch it. Maybe it worked out better than I'm assuming. But I just imagine it would just be like so quiet and you're just working your jokes out to a computer screen. Yeah, I don't know.
That sounds rough.
It sounds really rough. So I just kind of set stand-up aside. I have kind of come up with some like joke premises and fine-tuned some of the stuff that I've had. But this year, I feel like if anybody feels down on themselves for not being creative this year, you got to let it go because it's so hard to come up, Eddie aside. I mean, clearly you did a lot this year. But it was really hard to come up with ideas and concepts when you're not going out and seeing people. Like you're inspired when you go out into the world and you have experiences and you socialize. And so to not have that, how can you possibly expect yourself to be inspired? And, you have all the time, but you're missing the inspiration. So I just kind of set it aside. But I think that now that things are opening up again, I would definitely like go back and do stand-up. I don't know. I also feel like I'm older. I came into stand-up like when I was just about to turn 30 and most people had done it really young. And I don't know. I have a nice home and I have a nice husband and I don't like spending all of my nights at open mics that I might not even get up and work, which is part of it. Like that's part of the grind you have to do. But I'm at a place in my life where I'm just like, this is not how I want to spend my time.
Yeah. It's the energy management kind of thing
there's a lot of, like I was saying, there's a lot of negative energy at those open mics, not a lot of support. So it just is like, a lot of them I'll feel icky after. I don't really feel like... fed creatively. I will definitely do shows. I would be happy to continue performing. But as far as like the grind, like doing the comedy, I just feel like I have other avenues to explore that I'd rather like put my time into.
Yeah, like instead of writing jokes, you're writing scripts.
And putting the jokes into
the
script,
and then you kind of got a little, I don't know. So you produced the pilot teaser, so maybe getting more in that realm. I don't know. I don't know what you're.
I mean, ideally,
lots of options.
Ideally, this year it'll be bought, and we'll be so busy writing the show and hopefully getting to act on it as well. And so. That's the goal. And I feel like that's kind of the goal with a lot of stand-up comedians too, is to like be on a show eventually or be a staff writer. Yeah. It was a great thing to do I mean, I did it for like 2 years. Yeah. I'm glad that I never thought I would do stand-up. I got to perform at the Laugh Factory. I got to perform at the Comedy Store. And I mean, I got to do all the fun stuff. Yeah,
because you said we met, that wasn't your last show.
That was the last show. That was the last stand-up show I did.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's very crazy.
Well, because we did the show, and then
Do you recall was there a title for it? I know it was like some sort of
I think it was
reunion.
like Pretty Funny Women. Yeah, because I had done that class twice, and that was the second round. Those girls, that was the second time I did that class, which is just kind of like a writing workshop, and at the end of the class she does a like there's a show with all the graduates of the class.
Yeah.
So that was like a year after that class's graduation show. Mm-hmm. It was like
a 1 year reunion special. Bring them all back, the classics.
Yeah. But then we went into writing the show, and then the pandemic happened. So I wasn't really.
That's great. No, it was very cool. I remember. I don't necessarily remember any specific jokes, but I do remember it was great meeting you. I'm always nervous. I hate.
You hate going up to people after?
I hate going up to people.
Really?
I hate it.
I remember you being so nice and complimentary, and on the way home talking to Chase, and I'm like, that was so nice. You said such nice things.
Yeah, no, for sure. I had very nice things to say, but it's still I don't know. There's something about the approaching.
Yeah.
Because
nobody's ever going to be mad at you for approaching them and being like, I really liked what you did.
I know. It's still, I get...
You putting yourself out there, though, yeah.
In a way. It's more, I think it's out... It's maybe hard to believe, but I grew up very shy.
Okay.
No, so I kind of just, I think it's just like deep roots of like...
Yeah. I have to socialize with somebody right now.
Because I know, like, even as a kid, it took a while, like, even just, like, ordering my own food from a fast food place. Like, even just approaching, like, the anticipation of getting to the front of the line and then having to say the thing to somebody.
Do you not like to talk on the phone either?
No. I mean, as of right now, I've grown a lot since then, but still...
I don't like to talk on the phone. I have huge anxiety about it. Mm-hmm. Somebody called me, like, twice in the last couple months, and I haven't got them back.
Phones are easy. I think I did a call center job for a while, too, which helped break that. I did collections for a little bit, which was a fun time.
That's well, so you just came out here a couple years ago. What were you doing before you moved out to LA?
What? Me?
Yeah.
No. I was pursuing the film track out in Reno.
Okay.
I graduated from college in 2013. Mm-hmm. So technically I've been on the pursuit since then, but I didn't move until 2018.
Okay.
November 2018. So I did like 5 years of just like I wanted to be an actor first.
Oh, really?
So I did like 2 community theater shows.
What did you do?
I don't know. They're just dumb, local. Not dumb. They're great. They're great shows. Like one was
not like famous shows that we would know, like Fiddler on the Roof.
Like one was like some original piece from a local writer that was putting the show together and was desperate for actors. And of course, that was my very first experience in acting. Very first experience.
Oh, so you didn't act like growing.
And it was like a musical thing too, and I was like an ensemble, while also having like 3 lines for the whole show. So I got a little dabble into that. Did some scene study classes, produced my own stuff. But I was like, I'm not going to move to LA until I have like some sort of arsenal. And then I discovered very quickly I didn't want to be an actor.
Yeah.
I much prefer the producing side of putting myself in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. Just swap myself in front of the camera with somebody else.
Yeah.
So I churned out a bunch of short films with the community.
Yeah.
Like I was averaging maybe 2 short films a month for like 2
Holy
or 3
cow.
years. And so that's what I was doing. And then eventually I felt like I hit the ceiling of Reno.
Yeah.
And then I moved.
You have to come.
And then I had the machine moving enough where when I just got here, I just kept doing the same thing, just in LA, and making stuff on the side. And I had contacts.
And you had your community of filmmakers.
Yeah, like I was able to go freelance up there before I moved, so I was able to be in a couple of productions. I had LA crew.
Oh, great. And then you make your contacts.
Yeah, and then I took a workshop down here for script supervising.
Oh, cool.
So I kind of had just little different pockets.
Yeah.
Moved down into that, and then...
I think a lot of people intend to be actors and then find something else that they love to do. A lot of people on the production side. I mean, Chase and I went to a theater conservatory. That's where we met, and now he's writing and directing. That's kind of what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Education is wasted on the youth. When you really don't know what you want to do with your life right after school. Like, if I was going to the conservatory now, I would work so much harder.
Oh, right.
Than when I was 19 and just, like, in LA and having fun. Go to school 4 hours a day. I should have spent, like, all of my time
capitalizing.
Working hard, Harder.
What? It's the things we learn. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was doing. I forget why that came up, but yeah.
Oh, I just asked you,
okay.
Yeah. Because you moved, in your late 20s to LA, right?
Yeah, I moved when I was 29.
Okay, yeah. I was 19.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, like, I haven't spent all of this time pursuing acting. Like, I came out, I was in conservatory for 3 years. I was in a 2-year program, and then you auditioned to be in the company the third year.
Okay.
And then they really did not set you up with a strategic game plan for the LA industry. It was ridiculous. We did a lot of plays and scene study and stuff like that. And so it's very easy to get distracted and then find other things that you're passionate about. I used to do art for a while. I was doing, like, craft shows and and did that for a couple years, and then started a business. I think that, like, you just have this urge to connect to something where you have, like, some solid success, like, this is what I've done, because I haven't booked anything acting wise in the last 3 years.
Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah. But I see how you can make the transition to like the production side of things, and there's a lot more control while still being creative.
Yeah, plus, I don't know, I don't really feel like I got the fair chance on the acting side anyway with...
Well, yeah, you just did a couple of...
Well, yeah, I was going to say acting... It's a classic thing, too, with, like, when growing up, unless you have somebody that's in the family already that's done production or whatever, like, you don't know what's involved in the process. Mm-hmm. So you look at the movie... And you're like,
great, do it.
That being Spider-Man looks like an awesome, great time. Like, let's try that out. It looks fun. And then you quickly learn that there's like a billion people behind the camera. Yeah. And there's different personalities that fit in each thing, and like kind of finding your space there takes a little while. So, but yeah, acting. But being that I had to produce my own stuff to act in front of, I was always in my head about, like, thinking about the producer side or the directing side or just everything. Yeah, and it's
hard to focus on a performance when you're trying to see the performance as well.
You talked about all the hats. Yeah. So being that you had the chance to wear all the hats and act, but you had a little bit more of a stable footing in the acting realm, and plus that's the goal anyway. Yeah, like Yeah, but it is still hard. Like, it's hard to, when things are happening around you and you're aware of how things look and aware of your framing and you're aware of, and then the crew is making jokes over here and you're supposed to, like, be talking to your dead mother. Like, it's very hard to balance it all. And I completely understand that Christian Bale, when he had that breakdown on set and yelled at the gaffer or whatever that moved a thing or walked in his eye.
I don't know the whole story. I mean, obviously I wasn't there, but I get it. I've been there, where it's like you're working so hard to just focus and be in this world and be in this character, and then somebody just, like, takes you out of it, and you're like, man, I can't get there again.
No, it's tricky.
It sounds like it had happened a couple times too.
Oh, I know.
Like that guy had kept.
Well, it has to boil because there's always those times on set where there's like the one setup where something's going wrong with each thing. It's like, oh, sorry, like we lost battery power, we lost monitor, we lost village connection, cut.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we fixed that. All right, get back into it.
Right.
Oh, we got a boom in there. Oh,
Yeah.
all right, wait, we'll just reset. Let's go back a couple of lines.
Yeah.
And then on the 5th reset, the gaffer just walks in front of you.
Oh my gosh. And you're like, I had it and I have no more in me and I can't do it again.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So there's that. Let me just check here on, we're doing great. I keep having this issue with my phone. My SIM card keeps failing.
Oh no, you have a SIM card in an iPhone?
Yeah, it's like the AT&T SIM, like how I get my service. That's how it works.
Oh, I have Verizon. Do they not put a card in, or they do?
There's a card in there, I'm sure.
What? Oh, is it that thing that
There's a little hole on the side. If you take
and they have a key to get into it?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
All right, we talked about that. We'll jump into, I don't know. There's a couple little mini topics, maybe. Bean, you talked about esthetician.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any?
It's not that interesting. I'll cover that quickly. I went to esthetician school.
I was going to ask for any. What
skincare
were your
advice?
biggest takeaways from that experience on the? I don't know how it changed your life, or if.
Oh yeah, no, it didn't change my life.
Really?
I had really good skin in junior high. I didn't go through that in high school. I didn't go through that acne phase until
I did.
I did eventually. Yeah, I had like what they would call adult acne when I moved to LA.
Perfect time.
And I had gone to I was like, this will be perfect. I have such good skin. I'm not gonna be an esthetician, and I thought it would be like a side job, so I wouldn't have to be like a server at a restaurant. Sure. But it was just so much work, so much money. And I always felt like a fraud because I had been accepted into the conservatory and I pushed it back a year, got my esthetician license, and then moved to LA. So while I was in beauty school, I was like among all these people that were very passionate about skincare. And I was just like, but I'm going to be an actor and I'm just doing this as a side job.
Yeah.
And I'm very passionate. Oh, and then when I moved to LA, I had horrible hormonal acne and breakouts and back and forth to the dermatologist and bad prescriptions. And then I realized ultimately it is your diet and your gut and your hormones, and you have to get it all in check internally. And then I switched all of my skincare products to very like natural things.
Okay. And sometimes, I don't know, maybe it's just my thing, because I had it when I was like in high school, I think, but
it's probably hormones, and you know, you're changing.
And then I'm sure like some of it's just time too.
I don't know. Also, like I would have teenage boys that I would see when I worked at before the pandemic happened. I would go back, and it has been a good thing to fall back on because I'll go work there, and then I'll run a business, and then I'll go back to my esthetician job.
Sure.
But it's just not something I'm like super passionate about, but I'm good at it. I know enough about, I can solve acne problems because I've been through it and I see it, and I would have like teenage boys where I'm like, I know exactly, like, you gotta wash your face, buddy. You gotta wash your face. They have these bangs like this.
Oh, no.
I don't know if that's still like the trend, but they have these bangs that are just so thick and going over their foreheads, and they're sweating and they're playing sports. And so it's just all here. This is also like a stress zone. If you're really stressed, you'll break out on your forehead. This is typically hormonal along the jawline. And then this is like bacterial acne.
Okay, great.
Traditionally, like it can be anywhere. Hormonal can be it can cross barriers, but that's just,
the
guideline. Yeah. But yeah, I think for most kids in high school, they just are not taking proper care of their skin. They're not exfoliating. So many people do not exfoliate. Are you exfoliating now, Eddie? You got to get a very gentle, like rice powder exfoliant, and very gently exfoliate every day.
Really?
Very gently on a more consistent pattern. Like I'll do it every day, every other day.
It's part of your routine, yeah.
It's part of my routine, as opposed to doing something really aggressive once a week. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of back and forth in the community about that. But exfoliation and just, you know, and your diet.
I know I've been just the face washing I think is a good start, maybe.
Yeah.
I do that. I don't exfoliate, but maybe.
Sunscreen,
no.
Oh my gosh,
Eddie. I'm sorry.
But get some sunscreen.
I've taken advantage on my ethnicity that I've never.
But you'll still age.
I'm sure. Aging, yeah, no, for sure.
You still, I mean, the sun has harmful rays in it.
No, yeah.
Even when you're inside, you should wear sunscreen because it'll come through the window.
The bounce.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I
know I was get stressed out. Okay, so it has changed your life. Or you already knew all this prior?
No, I mean, I learned it. A lot of this, though, you can learn if you just... I mean, the internet is a wonderful resource, and you can learn a lot by reading. So I don't feel like going to esthetician school, per se.
You can learn a lot by reading.
You can learn a lot. You really can.
That's great.
I think that, the biggest... like nuggets that I took, that I know and live by, you can learn.
No, I'm sure. I mean, you
don't have to go to esthetician school.
No, for sure, for sure.
But you do have to listen. Like if I had a client come back to me and take my advice and then their skin improved, it was so satisfying.
Yeah.
And I'd be like,
I mean, that's the difference between going and reading and
putting
being involved. It's like, you actually see what works.
I did, I would have regulars come back to me and be like...
reinforce your belief system.
I did also learn that most people want a quick fix. They want to buy a product to... Yeah, and which is like you're spending money. You already have something very similar of this. You don't need 5 different moisturizers. You get one. You just need a very simple routine, and it's consistency that makes the consistency and really consistency is key in everything, isn't it?
Consistency is key.
So in skincare too.
Well, because that's with anything though. Yeah. It's how do I lose all this weight? It's like I want my quick fix. What do I do? And it's like no, actually, if you just simply
can I eat ashwagandha? Can I?
But how do I lose the weight and still keep up my same drinking?
Yeah,
and also,
exactly.
It's like, well, actually, maybe have you thought about it?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Although I will say that strength training is the best way to lose weight as opposed to doing cardio. I think people think like I'm just going to do so much cardio. And honestly, when I do strength training, I get in shape so much faster. Your body is just better. It all goes in the right places.
That's what...
You're using your whole body.
I wish I had, maybe, I don't know if you what's it called? Not like a reference or a, because I've heard that recently as well, where there's like a study done on what the most effective workout for longevity in the human body health is, and it is strength training.
When I was running my China company, I was staying in shape because I was carrying dishes up and down these stairs. It was such a good workout. Yeah. Cardio is great for your health. But I would not use that to lose weight. Mm-hmm. When I was going to the YMCA and squatting, oh my gosh, so fast. And you're building muscle. That's the thing. Like the more muscle you have on your body, the more calories your body burns because muscle takes more. Mm-hmm. So you want to build that muscle. And then you can eat. Yeah. You can eat as much as you. If you have a ton of muscle, it's going to take a lot of calories to maintain. So you still get to eat. It's a win-win.
Great. Yes.
Perfect. There you go.
All right, we're solving a lot of people's problems today.
I know. Listen, I believe that if everybody listened to me, their lives would be...
Have you thought about life coaching? Is that okay?
No.
All right. I've thought of no. I figured I'd be a great life coach, but anyway. Other quick thing, I guess this is more talking about the future.
Okay.
We're currently in June 2021.
Yeah.
And LA, I heard, well, it's opened up. I don't think it's fully, I heard the mask mandate's going to be lifted soon too.
I don't think in LA it will. Maybe.
California?
I don't know. Gavin Newsom just came on yesterday or something and said that we're still, California is not like back to normal. I didn't.
For some reason, somebody said it and I didn't look it up.
Yeah, they said that. Yeah, I saw mask mandate June 15th.
Regardless, because I got back into town, I was gone for 6 weeks into New Mexico, into the tiny 1,000 population town.
Where it seemed like COVID didn't exist?
Well, no, it existed there too. I mean, everybody was good about masks for the most part too. But I was able to leave LA still in kind of heightened COVID state. And then when I got back a month and a half later, everything was open.
Yeah.
And it was weird and cool. Mm-hmm. But like I came back with my cousin and we ended up... he's not from LA, so I was able to like take him to the beach and show him some stuff and actually take him to a restaurant.
Okay.
And it was the hustle bustle, it was wide open.
Everybody's out.
And it was weird because everybody, like most people were without masks in the street.
Yeah.
And then when you go in the restaurant, you demask to sit. So there was like this weird middle ground of like, you walk up to the people, who are the people that greet you? The greeters? The host.
Yeah.
And the security guy was like, hey, mask up. So you mask up to talk to
they do.
And then you go and sit, and then you take your mask off.
Okay, yeah.
So it was that brief little section, but otherwise it seemed like it was back to normal.
Yeah, I try to. We've gone to a couple of restaurants, and I try to keep my mask up when the servers come to the table because they're wearing their masks. Yeah. And I don't know if they've been vaccinated. I mean, they have to be there. But we're vaccinated, so I feel like... like we're safe now. Safe. Yeah, I trust the science. I trust the medicine and everything, and so I think we're fine. But it definitely does take some adjusting. Like it'll feel weird to go into Target and not wear a mask, or it's just going to feel weird to be with. Weird. And people are like out too. Like I didn't like crowds before. And now people are so itching to get out. I almost went to the Pasadena flea market yesterday because I need a rug. This is like a temporary rug, this little one. I need a bigger rug for this area. So I thought I would go. And then I put it on my Instagram because I knew somebody would answer. I was like, should I go? And somebody sent me a screenshot and they were like, no, don't come. We are currently in a mile-long traffic to get in. I've never seen it like that. It was a mile back just to get into one of the entrances. They just want to go. Everybody's going to be out for a long time. I don't know. It's like, it's going to be...
shucks. All right. Sorry. Yes?
It's just going to be weird for a while and crowded, and that's also not like my jam, so I don't know.
So with all that being said, now that things are opening up, air quotes, I don't know.
Yeah.
What are you most excited about with, we're halfway through the year.
Oh yeah.
We still have half of 2021 to go. We're already halfway through the year. I'm
really excited to travel. We took a little trip to Desert Hot Springs recently and stayed at this, it was just magic. And I had sold my business and we had a plan to go to Europe. It was actually like the entire thing was booked, from train tickets to rental cars, all the hotels, every detail. And the pandemic squashed that. So, and I've never been out of the country. I've traveled within the States quite a bit, but never been. So hopefully at some point we'll do something like that.
Fire up those plans again.
But I kind of want to do some theater, some live theater. I hope that by the end of the year, it sounds like a helicopter. I hope that by the end of the year, theaters will be happening again.
Yeah. I saw a friend post about a live in-person concert.
Oh, wow.
In LA.
Yeah, this still seems so weird to me.
And I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure that's happening?
We have to go to the movie. We have to see Quiet Place, too.
Oh, sorry. Mm-hmm.
Chase is excited for Dune.
Oh, okay. That's a ways away.
Yeah.
It's like November or something.
Oh, is it really? I thought it was in the summer.
That was a Christmas movie.
Okay. And I want to see Quiet Place. That was held specifically so that we could see it in the theater. So we have to go.
Great theater experience.
Yeah. And I want to have my Reese's Pieces in the popcorn. That's what I do at the theater.
It's going to be so nice.
It's
going to be so nice.
Yeah.
So do you have plans to go to that? Or are you going to...
Yeah, we'll go. I'll make sure that we'll go. It's just, I don't know. I don't trust people. So
you're vaccinated. It's fine.
I know. It's just hard. Fine. It's hard to get in that mindset. But yeah, we'll go.
It's more of like I've already seen. I follow some YouTube channels that follow movie news and stuff.
Okay.
And I know she was covering people returning to the theater and sharing their horror stories already of like the classic old stuff of like you're in a theater. And the person in front of you
gets on their phone.
It's either the people talking or the people with their shoes off and their feet are up. Like
shoes off?
Yeah, shoes off, socks on, like, just bare feet with their feet. Because people are so used to very comfortable about the lounging. And it's like, this is my space, kick them off.
Well, all the AMC theaters now have those reclining seats where you don't need to be putting... I don't think there's even space, but
it might have been
that's weird to kick your shoes off. I get real mad at people at the theater. They talk, they're just not very courteous of like... we would never go to opening weekends, and we would never go see a show on the weekend. We were doing that AMC like Stubbs Pass, where it was like $20.
I was on that too,
and if you go to like the theater in the Burbank Mall, the one inside the mall is very like a small theater, and there's very few people there if you go on like a matinee in the middle of the week. So we always try to avoid the crowds anyway.
I love opening weekend though.
Oh.
Well, for the big boys, like I'm a big Marvel fan, so I love the experience because only the Marvel.
I'm gonna ruin this for you, but do you ever think of like mass shooters in the theaters now?
No.
Oh, I constantly do. Every time we go to a theater, especially if it's because there was like a shooting in the theater for the Batman movie. Remember? That was like one of the mass shootings that happened. I feel like
was the Joker mask? Were they representing?
I don't know what they were. They just took the opportunity to go to a crowded opening weekend to kill people. I'm just so paranoid being in crowded spaces.
We're definitely in the wrong town for opportunities for crowds.
I know. Even if I'm going through like downtown LA, I'm like, I gotta get out.
Or the farmer's market that you just referred to with the mile-long...
Oh, the Pasadena flea market.
The flea market, not the farmer's market.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't even think about outdoor events. Yeah, I guess that does happen.
So I try not to...
live in fear.
I was more thinking, I thought maybe you were referring to... I always kind of thought the masks would encourage more people with anonymity, with like, you have an excuse to wear a beanie and a mask.
You had to wear the mask into the bank. That's like a bank robber's dream, right?
Like, how do you just not shoplift every store you're in?
Right.
Nobody's gonna...
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess there's never been a problem.
Also, I wondered if people like would buy alcohol, because nobody asked me to pull my mask down when I would give them my ID. So, like, if you have your older siblings' ID...
It's a perfect opportunity.
So if you didn't do it, you've missed out, kids.
You can still do it. There's still a chance.
There's still time to live rebelliously.
Great. So you're excited about that. Traveling and movie theaters. Great. Any more chances? Any more baby showers coming up or anything like that?
I hope not for a while.
Okay. Well,
I've hosted a lot of showers, and
we don't have to host it to go to it, though.
Oh, I'm always the host.
Oh, okay. You don't just get invited. That's a bummer.
No.
That's also nice.
I haven't been invited to one. Well, they're like, if they're close friends or family, I think it's kind of assumed that I will. And I also offer myself to do it. I do like to do it, but then I get myself into it, and it's like so much work.
But you've experienced it without being a host, though.
Yeah, when I was a kid.
Well, as an adult.
Yeah, I think I went to like maybe one baby shower as an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of nice to not have the responsibility.
Oh, yeah. I love going to weddings. I think they're so much fun, especially not having to plan them or work at them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love these things. They're just not, I don't know. And also in our circle of friends, there's not a lot happening in the way of like weddings and babies.
That's great.
Everybody's like an actor. Everybody's, you know.
Everybody's hustling.
Yeah, I think if we lived in the Midwest, I'd probably be going to like 10 baby showers a year.
That'd be the life.
That would be it, yeah.
That's life at that point.
Chosen a different path.
So I guess just to close us off, I don't know. You've lived here in this area, in this specific apartment for a long time. Me, I'm hoping to find my new foundation. I'm looking for a new spot to live in July and hopefully lease.
Okay.
And start my new foundation in a new spot. I've moved a lot since I've been here.
I did too. I moved every year for the first several years.
Yeah, I've had a very specific last few months where I've done a little bit of done a little
couch surfing.
Little bouncing around, a little couch surfing. and I'm excited to get some solid roots going again. But it is difficult to know. I don't know. It's always, I don't know how you guys found this spot or the...
Oh, I think at the time it was like not as crazy. And I think it's really bizarre that like even during the pandemic, rent prices haven't gone down. They're still insanely expensive. It's still like just...
It's the same.
It's the same. Changed. Nothing has changed. Yeah, it's crazy. I did put on social media... we had a very crazy story where I spend hours on like Zillow and Redfin and like those are like home sites, and I just waste time because I can't even afford like a $200,000 house. Like that just doesn't even exist here, maybe in the Midwest. But I just, I like to dream, and I went on and I found this house that was on Toluca Lake. We're in Toluca Lake, but there is also like an actual little lake where really nice houses surround. So it's a private lake. And this house is $5 million. And I was like, that's my house. This is the one I want. Why am I trying to like
go for the 200?
Fit into a price range that I don't even have a budget for? You know what I mean? I would like set a cap at like, can I find a $700,000 house? We don't even have that. We can't buy a house for that, so why not dream big? So anyway, found it. I was like, this is beautiful. And then I saved it, and I was like, I'm going to stop wasting my time doing that because that's the house I'm going to envision.
So do you check up on it pretty frequently? Or
no, I just closed it. I was just like, I have it in my mind.
Okay.
And I have it saved, but I'm not going to go back because then I'll start looking at other houses.
Okay.
So I woke up the other day and I told Chase about the house. I wanted a croissant from Lou's, the French on the Block, which is in Toluca Lake, one of the best croissant places in the world. He's French. He's French.
The real deal.
He's the real deal. So we went and got a croissant, and then we took a walk around the neighborhood. But when we were getting in the car, I told Chase, because he knows I have this habit, and I was like, I found our dream house, and it's $5 million.
And you drove by it?
No, listen, even crazier. I just told him, I said, so I'm going to stop wasting time, but we're going to have this house. I just have a good feeling about it. So we went and got our croissant, and then we went on a little walk around the neighborhood, and he kind of led the way, and he was like, oh, do you want to go down this street, this street, this street?
Okay.
We wound up in front of this house that I was like, oh, I would love to have this house. I just point at random houses and say like, oh, this would be a great house. I'll buy that one someday. Someday we'll have that.
Sure.
And then I was like, there's something familiar about this house. Oh my gosh, this is the house. There's a lake on the other side. We went around and you could see Toluca Lake. I've never known where the actual lake was. I thought it was like in a gated community, but you can walk up to those houses. Anyway, I was like, this is the house that I just told you about 20 minutes ago. So either Chase is a witch or it's meant to be. Okay. And it was a sign. And I think it was a sign.
There's a little bit of some telepathy or some sort of like energy transfer guidance that you probably...
But I didn't know where it was.
Well,
and he didn't know where it was. I didn't know where the lake was. I thought it was down like... I have an idea in my mind of where I thought the lake was.
Sure.
I didn't realize it was as close as it is.
Okay, so you saw it and it was beautiful. And
I
you
think
made some calls.
No, I
you
didn't make any
toured it.
call. That's like part 2, which hopefully
you put on your.
I'll have a follow up.
You dressed up as the millionaires
Yeah.
and you dropped in.
Oh, I'd like to take a tour.
Scoffed at some of the decor.
They didn't even have a for sale sign. I think it's empty right now, and I don't know. I think it's been for sale for a while. So anyway, I think it was a sign. I think good things are going to happen this year, and I'm going to have my
nice
$5 million house.
It's nice to have the sights set.
Yeah, dream big. So, and you'll find your place, and
because I just don't even know what part of town I want to be in. So
this
it's
is
just
North Hollywood. I feel like is where all the artists end up migrating.
Seems like a nice central kind of area. Yeah. It's for gigs and just be like, all right, everything's kind of close.
It's like 10 minutes on the freeway to get into Hollywood. I mean, if there's like something happening or there's like traffic, it can take longer. But
of course,
it is really central. We're right by all the studios in Burbank. And if you're leaving LA, our families both live north of here, so we just like hop on the freeway. We're at the top of LA. You don't have to fight through traffic to get out. So
yeah. Great.
So you'll move here, and I'll move into that house.
Oh, okay. That sounds great, too. Well, it sounds like years away, but... Sure.
I can leave you this apartment, and I'll leave you some...
Just as is?
Decor, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. I know you've got... I'm excited to hear about how the meetings go.
Yeah.
Or what comes of that.
I'll keep
Fingers
you posted.
crossed.
I'll show you the teaser. I'll send it to you.
Oh, okay. That'd be sweet. And I think yeah. So very last, of course, this is the chance to where if people want to follow you.
Oh yeah.
On Instagram or whatever. What's your tag or what are your handle?
Yeah. It's Blynn Darwin on everything. BLYNN Darwin. But I might change it soon. So find me fast.
Or I'm sure you can also, you have a website.
I have a Twitter.
Too.
But that's going to change too. It's brooklyndarwin.com. It'll probably be Brooke Darwin.
Okay, it's available. Did you look?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't look.
Well, we'll see.
When I did a Google search for Brooke Darwin, a cartoon dragon came up. I think it's like a character in some animated show.
Okay.
I don't know. But
all right.
yeah.
So for now,
it's Brooklyn Darwin, and all my social media is at BLYNN Darwin.
All right, beautiful. All right, well, thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming to me.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to be here. And all right, cool. Bye-bye.